CS for trade and investments, the CS for lands, public works and housing, as well as urban development, and the CS for energy.
So those are the three cabinet secretaries set to appear before the Senate plenary this morning to just take you through some of the questions that the CSs will be answering. The Senator for Kisumu County, Senator Professor Tom Ojenda, will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Trade and Investment, Honorable Lee Kenyanjui, to provide details on the forms of support the ministry extends to county governments to build capacity for sustainable markets and to ensure there's uninterrupted operations in key markets, and equally explain how the ministry is monitoring the effectiveness of such support. The Senator for Kisumu also wants to understand on matters oversight the mechanisms that do exist to facilitate national government intervention whenever recommendations for operational improvements are not implemented fully and promptly, or whenever county level decisions adversely impact local economic activity. And the CS for Investments, Trade and Industry is also required to provide details on the instance where such mechanisms were invoked. Away from the CS for Trade, the CS for Lands, Public Works and Housing, Honorable Alice Wahome, is also set to appear before the Senate. On your screen is the Speaker's procession making its way into the chamber this morning, with that mace signaling the authority of the Senate now in the Senate chamber, closely followed by the Speaker of the House, Honorable Amason Kingi, who will be presiding over the business of the Senate this morning. So allow me to hand over for this live broadcast. Enjoy your viewing.
Na tuombe. Ewe Mwenyezi Mungu, tutakusihi ututazame kwa neema nyingi na baraka sisi watumishi wako ambao umeridhika kutuita kwa nyadhifa za uongozi katika jamhuri hii yetu. Tutakuomba utuwajalie tuyatende na kufikia mambo yote yatakayofikishwa mbele yetu kwa njia ya haki na uaminifu, ili kustawisha amani, ufanisi na heri ya nchi yetu na wale ambao haja zao umezikabidhi mikononi mwetu. Amen. Clerk, do we have quorum? Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
Well, the business of the Senate has commenced this morning, where the Senate is ready to transact business. Among the business lined up for today being legislation and matters oversight. Upon the commencement, we have a small quorum hitch that will be addressed courtesy of that directive by the Speaker of the House, who has accordingly been guided by the House standing orders and directed the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes. This 10 minutes being a provision for senators within the presence of Parliament to make their way into the chambers this morning. So that role is a role implemented by the Sergeant at Arms, and you could see their representative bearing the mace and placing it rightly where its designated position in the Senate, signaling Senate's legislative power, and the official commencement of business, or rather that the House is constituted to commence business. But the issue of quorum hitch is a matter that will be taking us a few minutes before the House considers the business before it. But that small quorum hitch will be addressed shortly. And as you await for a number of senators to make their way into the chamber to allow for the proper quoration of the House, allow me to keep taking you through the highlights in today's order paper. And the main business of Wednesday morning is the business of getting answers in plenary from a number of cabinet secretaries who appear before the Senate this morning, away from the CS for Trade, Investments and Industry, Honorable Lee Kenyanjui. We will also be expecting the CS for Lands, Public Works, Housing and Urban Development, Honorable Ali Swahome. She is expected to explain why, despite the government's allotment letters being issued in the year 2018 and allotment fees paid in 2024, a number of beneficiaries are yet to receive title deeds. This is along Nyayo Road in Marsabit County. And these are just but questions that will be coming from the Senator for Marsabit County, Senator Mohamed Shute. He also wants the CS for Lands to explain measures that the ministry has put in place to fast-track the issuance of title deeds to the affected beneficiaries, and equally provide timelines for the same when the title deeds will be allocated or issued to the beneficiaries. Nominated Senator Hamida Kibwana has a number of questions equally directed to the CS for Lands. Among them is the measures the ministry has put in place to ensure that physical planning approvals are not granted in a manner that outspaces service infrastructure provisioning. This question is coming from the need to safeguard large-scale housing approvals, especially in the rapidly growing urban centers that are tied to issues of adequate drainage, sewerage, roads, power supply, schools, health facilities, and trunk infrastructure. Senator Hamida also wants the CS for Lands to tell the House what policy reforms is her ministry considering, including lessons from countries such as Singapore, to ensure mandatory sequencing and financing of trunk infrastructure before and alongside major housing developments. The CS for Energy, CS Opio Ndai, is the third cabinet secretary who will be appearing before the Senate this morning. And the CS has the huge chunk of questions that will be coming from senators this morning. A total number of about 5, who will be asking him a number of questions. The Senator for Kajiado County, Senator Kanar Seki, Ole Kanar, will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Energy to disclose the number of landowners along the way-live corridors of the Kajiado, Namanga, Sultan Hamoud, Oloitoktok, and Uma University Konza transmission line projects, and provide details on how many among them are fully or partially compensated, as well as those that are yet to be compensated. Senator for Kajiado wants to understand the reason that has occasioned the delay in finalizing of the compensation. And the CS should also provide payment schedule for all outstanding claims and outline the measures put in place to ensure timely disbursement. This is particularly for landowners whose parcels are free of encumbrances and who possesses the necessary documentation. This is where the issue of compensation should not have any hurdles, as their document is said to be legit. So the senator for Kajiado is wondering whether there has been delay in terms of compensation of persons in that particular project. Away from the Konza transmission line, the senator for Kajiado also wants the CS for Energy to state the number of households in Kajiado County that are currently connected to the national electricity grid and explain how the electricity connectivity rate in the county compares to the national average. Allow me to quickly take you through some of the other questions that the CS for Energy will be addressing. And the other questions will be coming from the Senator for West Pokot County, Senator Reverend Julius Murgor, who will be asking the Cabinet Secretary for Energy to state why recruitment for positions at Takwel hydroelectric power is conducted in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County, rather than at the power station itself. The senator argues that this will be more accessible to the local communities. Senator Murgol also wants to understand how many laborers, technicians, and engineers are serving at Takwel hydroelectric power station, and how many of them are drawn from the local communities. This is the issue of creating local employment for the local community in regards to a number of projects being undertaken in West Pokot County. In this case, the Takwel hydroelectric power station. The issue of CSR, or corporate social responsibility, is another matter that the senator wants the CS to address and explain the initiatives that are being undertaken by the Kenya Electricity Generating Company, KenGen, to support matters education, healthcare, water supply, and access roads for the community hosting the project since 2013. I believe it's over a decade now. And the measures that are being put in place to ensure that KenGen CSR initiatives are responsive to the actual needs of the community around the Takwel hydroelectric power station. This is where the CSR initiatives are tailor-made to the need of the community. I believe this will be done through public participation for them to tell the implementers what areas they would love some help to come to. The 10 minutes has lapsed, and we will be waiting further directives from the Speaker, whether he'll be adding additional minutes or what directives he'll be giving moving forward.
Sergeant at Arms, kindly ring the quorum bell for further 10 minutes.
Well, that is a further 10 minutes, a directive by the Speaker for the Sergeant at Arms to ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes. This still being a guidance by the House Standing Orders, and this is Standing Orders number 40 on matters quorum upon the commencement of a sitting of the Senate. The standing orders provide that the Speaker, in this case, issues a directive that the quorum bell is rung for 10 minutes. Upon the lapse of the first bell, which has already happened, the standing orders provide for a further 10 minutes. That has equally happened. And upon the lapse, if no quorum is present, this is standing orders number 40, subsection 2. If no quorum is present upon the expiry of the 10 minutes, the Speaker may direct that the bell be rung for a further 10 minutes. And if there is still no quorum present, the Speaker shall adjourn the Senate forthwith to the next sitting. We await for the 10 minutes given to see whether the House will be raising that pertinent quorum to continue with the transaction of business before the Senate this morning. If not, the standing orders guide the Speaker on the measures to take. So as you wait for that very, very crucial quorum to be attained, allow me to take you through the business of today, away from the matters relating to the appearance of a number of cabinet secretaries who are set to appear before the Senate this morning to answer a number of questions. The Senate has also lined up other business for consideration. Among them is a motion on mainstreaming of gender perspectives in the legislative and policy processes. This is a motion by Senator Veronica Maina that the Senate already commenced debate on. But this morning, we will be having the Senate resume that debate that was interrupted on the 21st day of April this year. It is a motion with a balance of about 1 hour, where senators will be debating matters gender mainstreaming. In the motion, the nominated senator is seeking to have the Senate urge Parliament, the county assemblies, and the respective legislative committees to incorporate a gender analysis in the scrutiny of legislation, policies, programs, and budgets. This is before these respective legislative committees, including through the use of gender impact assessments and consultation with the gender-focused stakeholders to ensure gender-responsive governance. Senator Veronica Maina is also seeking to have the Senate resolve that the National Gender and Equality Commission, GEC, and the State Department for Gender do develop clear guidelines and tools to support the integration of gender perspectives in matters legislation, policy, and budgetary analysis. This will ensure that these activities are disseminated and adopted by the relevant government and legislative bodies. Away from the mini resolution, one that pertains the Senate is that the Standing Committee on Labor and Social Welfare will be tasked with the responsibility of continuously monitoring the implementation of these resolutions and tabled a biannual report on the status of the implementation of this aspect of gender mainstreaming. My dear viewer, remember, away from legislation, representation, and oversight, senators usually have other assignments to conduct. Among them is the issue of diplomatic assignments, where senators may be proposed to represent Parliament of Kenya and the Senate for conferences as well as interparliamentary meetings in foreign countries. Upon such an activity or a session, the caucus representing Parliament of Kenya or the Senate is tasked with the responsibility of tabling a report before the House to inform the House of the proceedings of those sessions. So this morning, the report of the Kenyan delegation to the sittings of the Pan-African Parliament committees and other Pan-African Parliament organs that was held at a convention in Midrand in South Africa between the September 13th to the 20th of September 2024 and 28th of October all the way to the 17th of November 2024 is a motion that is lined up for debate this morning. This motion is by Senator Dr. Danson Mungatana, and the House will be considering the report of that Pan-African Parliament committee meetings that were held in Midrand in South Africa. But that notwithstanding, the mainstreaming of a framework for clean cooking in Kenya is yet another motion lined up for consideration by senators this morning. This is a motion by Senator Hamida Kibwana, who is spearheading issues of clean cooking across the 47 devolved units. Members of the Senate continue making their way into the chamber this morning, actually in a haste to allow the House get that pertinent quorum to consider business before it. And with that indication, the quorum has been attained. Allow me to hand over back.
Clerk, you may proceed to call the first order. Order, Senator Mandago.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers. Order number 6, notices of motion. Order number 7, questions and statements.
Now, honorable senators, before we start the business of the day, Senator Beth Siango, just to remind you of the Kamkunji today at 1. So purpose to be present so that we can be taken through the details of the system we are using. Because as you may recall, last week so many concerns were raised touching on the system. So kindly avail yourself so that you can raise all those concerns with the technicians who will be present to take us through. Now, honorable senators, we expected 3 CSs this morning. The CS Energy is already in the House, and therefore we are going to start with the questions that are directed to the Ministry of Energy, and those are 4 questions. We will start with question number 041, then we go to 042, then 043, and yeah, I think those are the questions directed to CS Energy. Clerk, kindly usher in the CS Energy. Shares, once again, welcome to the Senate. You are before plenary for purposes of responding to question number 041 by the Senator for Kajiado County, question number 042 by Senator Hamida Kibwana, and question number 043 by the Senator for West Pokot, Senator Reverend Julius Morgo. Senator for Kajiado County, Senator Seke, you may proceed to ask your question.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I think I also have question 040. I stand to be corrected. I will start with that 041. Then I go to 040 later, as you've guided.
Yes, Honorable Senator, you may start with question number 040.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Speaker. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Question number 1, could the Cabinet Secretary disclose the number of land owners along the Wayleaf corridor of the Kajiado Namanga Sultan Hamud, Loitoktok, and Umma University Konza transmission line projects, and provide details of how many among them have been fully or partially compensated, as well as those who are yet to be compensated. B, what has occasioned the delay in finalizing the compensation? C, could the Cabinet Secretary provide the payment schedule for all outstanding claims and outline the measures in place to ensure timely disbursement, partially for landowners whose parcels have free of any embraces and who possesses the necessary documentation? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I'll proceed to respond as follows, Honorable Speaker. The total number of project-affected persons for the Kajiado, Namanga, Sultan Hamud, Oloitoktok, and Umma University Konza transmission line projects is 836. The breakdown of the compensation status for the project-affected persons for each transmission line project is tabulated in Table 1, 2, and 3, which is attached. The number of PAPs, Honorable Speaker, not compensated, is 108 from the Kajiado Namanga project, 37 from the Sultan Hamud Loitoktok project, and 18 from Isinya Konza project. Honorable Speaker, the summary in the tables I have alluded to are self-explanatory. For instance, you find for Kajiado Namanga, 400 persons have been fully compensated, representing 79% of the total number, and 120 fully paid for Sultan Hamud, the Tok, accounting for 76.43%, and 144 fully compensated in respect of the Isinya Konza transmission line project, accounting for 83%. Honorable Speaker, the Ministry of Energy and Petroleum can confirm that as of 13th of March 2026, 163 project-affected persons had not been compensated from the 3 transmission line projects. These project-affected persons, Honorable Speaker, have not been compensated fully due to a number of reasons, chief of which is budgetary constraints, missing documentation, the question of absentee landowners, unreturned offer letters, and some others due to rejection of offers. The attachments, Honorable Speaker, also provide details for these non-compensation cases. Honorable Speaker, finally, the Ministry is committed to ensuring all the project-affected persons are compensated. To meet this commitment, Honorable Speaker, the Ministry, through KETRACO, has been encouraging the PAPs who have not returned the requisite offer letters or who have not submitted the required documents to submit them in time to help us conclude this process, Honorable Speaker. To ensure the PAPs who have met the compensation criteria set are compensated promptly, Honorable Speaker. The Ministry is in constant engagement with the National Treasury to provide the necessary resources for this particular purpose. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Seki, do you have any supplementary questions?
I would wish to have this chance to my colleagues if they have, but if they don't have, then I'm done with it. Of course, I'll go through the documentation.
Senator Manzo.
Mr. Speaker, I would like the Cabinet Secretary to confirm, now that he's talking about budgetary constraints, delay the compensation, now that the power sector is interconnected and Kenya Power company is making a lot of these monies, is there a way, finally, you would redirect the same, because they are related, to make sure that everybody is sufficiently compensated and that lack of budget is not an excuse?
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I've heard the Cabinet Secretary say they are absentee landlords. I don't know whether in Masai land they are absentee landlords, unless the Cabinet Secretary has intention of taking away private land in the disguise of absentee landlords. And finally, Honorable Speaker, there are public utilities, government lands. They have indicated they are public utilities, but these are assigned to specific state departments and specific functions, and therefore they should compensate that land equally as they are compensating for private facilities, as this has been set aside for public utilities for that community. If it is a dispensary land, Honorable Speaker, although it's a government land, the community will still need a dispensary. And therefore, that I hope the ministry is not trying to use that to say there was free government land that they wanted to use as a wayleaf. Can the Cabinet Secretary tell us what is this absentee land? And I've checked the document, I've not seen anywhere that indicates an absentee landlord.
Senator A.C. Okenyuri.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would also wish to know from the Cabinet Secretary the total amount that's pending compensation in the key projected areas where the projects are, and if there is, what the exact figure is that they have remitted to the National Lands Commission in compensation of the PAPs, or it's just a commitment. Can the Cabinet Secretary come out clear and specify? Thank you.
Senator Chiranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Follow up on this compensation of that power line or transmission has used. The CS should tell the country there are many delays in terms of payment of Ketraco. For example, Tororo, Lesos, Olkaria, there have been delays. So my question is, apart from this Kajiado issue, how many are still pending to be paid across the country in terms of compensation, where way leave has been sought by Kenyans, Mr. Speaker, so that we can know how many as per the country and how many people's affected persons have not been compensated. And maybe on to addition, Mr. Speaker, since it's the same question, on budgetary constraints, the CS has not given us a commitment that now we are doing budget policy statement. Did he present before the budget committee of the National Assembly through the Energy Committee, the parent committee in the National Assembly, so that people who are waiting under that issue of transmission of way leave compensation can be compensated, Mr. Speaker? I yield back.
Senator Faki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine is to inquire whether I understand the government is building an oil refinery in Tanga, in the Republic of Tanzania. Yet, in Mombasa, we are leasing our refinery, which has been there since independence. We are leasing it to a Nigerian company without the participation or public participation of the people of Mombasa. Could the minister explain under what circumstances the government is investing in another country rather than investing in Mombasa, where it will be cheaper to upgrade the refinery than to build a new refinery altogether in another country? Thank you.
Honorable Faki, that is not a supplementary question because it's not related to the primary question. However, CS, if in a position to respond to it, you may. If you're not, you may undertake to provide the answer maybe at a later date. Senator Mundigi.
Asante Bwana Spika, swali langu ni kwa waziri wa energy. Uko Embu County, Mbere South, kuna damu KenGen wanajenga inaitwa Kadhenge Dam, na kuna shule iko hapo na saa hii wako na pressure waweze kuondoka pale. Umepanga kuondoa hiyo shule namna gani, wakati gani, na pia wale watu wako pale watalipwa namna gani ndio waweze kuondoka, ndio KenGen iweze kujenga ile damu?
Senator Mutinda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Bwana Waziri, you've provided in your response the total amount of pending bills. The issue of compensation for the people at Konza City has been there for over 10 years. I just needed to understand the schedule that is in place from Treasury, if there are any agreements on how these payments are going to be done. What are the timelines that these payments are going to be done? Was there an effort during the supplementary budget process that you presented your case as far as this pending bill is concerned? And I'm coming from a point that this issue has been there for so long. So is this just a document presented before this House for the sake of presentation, or there's a factual commitment by the Minister for Treasury in ensuring that this payment will be adhered to? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just briefly, when the government was undertaking the connectivity, surely they must have put aside some money for compensation of the people in Kajiado. So the question I wanted the ministry to just clarify to us is that how much was this money, and what is the problem? What is the problem? Because if the money had been put aside, surely there should be no problem in giving this money to the people of Kajiado instead of taking their land and then not giving them, and then the stories begin. What is the project budget that was put for the compensation of the people of Kajiado? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now respond to those questions.
Thank you once again, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, to start with the question from Senator Manzo. Of course, Honorable Speaker, our agencies and entities work very, very closely together. However, these entities or agencies have got clear mandates, very, very clear mandates in the sector. The mandate of KPLC is different from the mandate of KenGen, and it's different from the mandate of KETRACO, and so on and so forth. Honorable Speaker, the particular transmission lines we are talking about are transmission lines under the purview of KETRACO. And KETRACO is the implementing agency. And therefore, the compensation we are talking about, Honorable Speaker, is compensation of being undertaken by KETRACO, of course, through the National Land Commission, as is required by law. Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Speaker, the matter of absentee landlords may sound remote, Honorable Speaker, but the fact, Honorable Speaker, is that this is a reality, Honorable Speaker. There are land buyers, not just in Kajiado County alone. There are land buyers all over the country who, once they have bought the land parcels, don't actually live on those land parcels. And in this particular case, these absentee land owners are persons who actually have got ownership of these land parcels, and since they are not present, they have not made any effort to contact KETRACO for purposes of effecting these compensations. Honorable Speaker, the figures I have mentioned in respect of the various lines are the actual figures. And all these compensations, Honorable Speaker, are undertaken by the implementing agency, which is KETRACO in this particular case, through the National Land Compensation. It is the implementing agency that acquires the land, goes ahead and provides for the budget for land compensation, and then avails that money to the NLC for purposes of effecting the compensation, Honorable Speaker. The acquiring entity is the procuring entity, Honorable Speaker, under the law. And let me also say this, Honorable Speaker, that it is indeed true that it is not just these 4 or so lines that are having some challenges to do with land compensation. There are also a number of transmission line projects, including the one that was mentioned by Senator Cherargei, okay, where landowners have not been fully compensated, but of course we are in the process of effecting this compensation. Honorable Speaker, it's good to combine that question with the question of Honorable Mungatana, that it is logical, really, that we have the budgetary provisions for these compensations at the commencement of these projects But, Honorable Speaker, the reality is that many a time, if not all the times, we depend on exchequer releases from the National Treasury. After providing for the budget, as is customary, what follows is the release of the exchequer. Until that happens, Honorable Speaker, you cannot say for sure that you will be able to do full compensation. And again, we do this knowing fully well that we have a duty as a country and as a ministry to continually upgrade or improve our infrastructure for not only transmission, but also for distribution. So it's a delicate balancing act, Honorable Speaker. Yeah. Honorable Speaker, I'm waiting for the question of Konza again. Same situation, Honorable Speaker. And we are working tirelessly as a ministry to ensure that in the fullness of time, all these cases of compensation are completed. The Honorable Speaker, there is the question of the Katheke Dam project in Embu County. This project is at the preliminary stage, and engagement by Kenyans with the affected communities will be taking place in due course. And proper and complete feasibility study is going to be undertaken, Honorable Speaker, to be able to determine the extent to which the communities will be affected, including the school, Honorable Speaker, and how they can be addressed, Honorable Speaker. Finally, Honorable Speaker, even though it is not related to the question that was asked, the Honorable Senator Mohamed Faki's question about a refinery, I will confine myself to the refinery in Changamwe. Honorable Speaker, a refinery business is a matter of commercial logic. It must make commercial sense for one to undertake a refinery business, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Speaker, the refinery in Changamwe, due to the economics, was found not to make business sense. And that's why, as a matter of fact, operations at the facility were discontinued. However, Honorable Speaker, even with the impending drilling of oil in South Lokichar, and Honorable Speaker, let me say this from this podium, that for the first time, Kenya is going to commercially produce oil. In any case, before the end of this year. We have gone through all the necessary processes, and the last 2 weeks or so, I was in Lokichar to undertake a groundbreaking for operations in that region, and we are sure that by the end of this year, we shall be producing crude oil from South Lokichar. That notwithstanding, Honorable Speaker, the quantities envisaged to come out of South Lokichar are not adequate to run a commercial refinery. From the beginning, we shall be producing about 20,000 barrels per day, which will progress to some 50,000 barrels per day. Honorable Speaker, petroleum economists tell us that you need some 300,000, 500,000 barrels per day to be able to run viably a refinery. And therefore, that informs the reason that informs the justification, that informs the basis for the plan to establish a refinery in Tanga that will serve not only Kenya, but will also serve the other neighboring countries such as Tanzania, Uganda, South Sudan, and so on and so forth. It's basically business logic, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
We'll now move to question number 041. You may proceed, Honorable Senator.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Again, question number 041A. Could the Cabinet Secretary state the number of households in Kajiado County that are currently connected to the national electricity grid and explain how the electricity connectivity rate in the county compares to the national average? B, how many of these households were connected to the grid in the 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025-2026 financial years, and could the Cabinet Secretary provide a breakdown of this data by county and ward? C, what are the planned interventions by the ministry to enhance electricity connectivity in the county, and could the Cabinet Secretary disclose the specific targets and the associated timelines? Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now respond.
The Honorable Speaker, I will respond as follows. The total number of households connected to electricity in Kajiado County is 365,277,000, while the total number of connections in the country as a whole is some 10 million, Honorable Speaker, 346,947. But let me also put this in context, Honorable Speaker, that by the time this administration was coming into office, that is August or thereabout of 2022, the electricity connectivity in the country covered some 8.9 million households. Honorable Speaker, since that time up to now, the electricity connectivity has tremendously increased due to deliberate actions, deliberate steps taken by the government. And in just under 3 years or so, this number has shot up to 10.3 million households, Honorable Speaker. It is a jump of about 15% in just 3 years or so. That goes to underscore the very deliberate steps this government is taking to ensure that the country is electrified, obviously with the attendant benefits to the economy and to the society generally. Honorable Speaker, to enhance electricity connections or connectivity in Kajiado County, and I've had occasion, Honorable Speaker, to visit Kajiado County a number of times. I've been to Kajiado East, Kajiado Central, Kajiado West, Kajiado North, and so on and so forth. The ministry is implementing some 53 schemes distributed across the constituencies as indicated in the succeeding paragraph. Honorable Speaker, a detailed list of the schemes is also attached for reference in Appendix 1. Honorable Speaker, the ministry through Kenya Power and REREC has been implementing various electrification projects in Kajiado County. Table 1 shows the total investment in electrification and the number of customers connected to the grid from the financial year 22-23 to financial year 25-26. This is broken down for each of the 5 sub-counties or constituencies in the county. Honorable Speaker, REREC has funded electrification projects worth some Kenya shillings 1.415 billion, connecting a total of 4,358 customers in the last 4 financial years. In addition, some 310 high masts and streetlights have been funded, thus impacting thousands of households or customers in market centers and key streets, in addition to enhancing security and longer business hours with a positive enhancement to GDP, obviously. Annex 1 contains the detailed summary of these projects. And it is self-explanatory, Honorable Speaker. Part C, the government through Kenya Power and REREC again continues to implement various electrification programs in Kajiado County with a key focus on the last mile connectivity project. As I've said many times before, Honorable Speaker, in some of these counties, it is the first time they are seeing these enhanced electrification programs. It is a first, and only in this administration, Honorable Speaker. There are very many parts of this country that have been in darkness for all these years since we attained independence. Thanks to the deliberate measures taken by this administration, headed by His Excellency President William Ruto, that situation is changing, and is changing for good, Honorable Speaker. The budget allocation and scope under the FD EU EIB last mile connectivity project is some Kenya shillings 165,762,491 and 10 cents. And there is a total of 53 schemes which are under implementation in Kajiado County, comprising of 5 new schemes and 48 maximization schemes, targeting a total of 1,750 customers. The ministry is adopting a multi-pronged strategy of fast-tracking the ongoing projects in various ways as follows. 1, equitable allocation of budgets to each constituency in Kajiado County, leveraging on connectivity and access rates to ensure fairness based on available budget. And this equity, Honorable Speaker, is something we are stressing, not just countrywide, but also within the counties, to deal with historical disparities, Honorable Speaker. In order to further enhance electricity connectivity, Honorable Speaker, REREC is engaging the members of Parliament in Kajiado County, and I continue to engage with them directly, personally, Honorable Speaker, to collaborate on the matching fund program, where the cost of electrification is shared shilling for shilling, subject to availability of budget. One constituency, that is Kajiado West, has already benefited from this program to install solar street lights worth Kenya shillings 10 million. And I was privileged to visit Kajiado West constituency, Honorable Speaker, and was hosted by the Honorable MP. Honorable Speaker, provision of full complement of critical line construction materials for all ongoing projects to ensure that they are completed on time. The ministry is also encouraging a close collaboration between REREC and Kenya Power officers to jointly inspect and commission completed projects and to ensure they are metered on time. Holding weekly progress meetings with various contractors undertaking various projects in Kajiado County to measure progress and sort out any bottlenecks that may hinder completion of these very important projects, Honorable Speaker. REREC will continue working with stakeholders in Kajiado County to prioritize the electrification of public facilities and installation of transformers subject to availability of budget. The full implementation of these strategies gives a definite chance of completing all ongoing projects by the end of 2026. And Honorable Speaker, this is a journey. And we are sure, as a ministry, working closely with all our stakeholders, including members of parliament, that we are on course. Thank you.
Senator Seki.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Cabinet Secretary for the response, but more importantly, I want to inform him that question A, I wanted to clarify, or you to clarify, in comparisons to national average, because you've just indicated the Kajiado. Honorable Speaker, we wanted to know where we are as a county, because, Honorable Speaker, if the entire county in the three mentioned years, financial years, we've just been connected 1,750 customers who've received the electricity for the 3 financial years. That is why we wanted to know where are we as a county, because we have 21,000 square kilometers as a county with a population of 2 million Kenyans, and we're only getting to 1,700 customers connected electricity in the 3 years of this government. That is why we wanted to know where, in comparison to the national grid, or the national
Honorable Senator,
average.
do you want to know, you just want to know for the past 3 years, or for the time this program started running? Because the Honorable CS has given you the answer in paragraph, I think paragraph 1 of his response, that the total number of households connected in the country stands at 10,346,947. Out of those, 365,277 are in Kajiado.
Yeah.
So he's given the total number for the entire country and the total number of households in Kajiado. You can draw the comparison from there. But Honorable CS, note that you will explain it further.
Then the last question is the Cabinet Secretary indicated that there is an engagement of the MPs with REREC. Where is the engagement of this honorable member, senator for Kajiado? Why are they not engaging the Senate of this county in issues of connectivity? And is it because of I am a one-term senator? Thank you.
You are not seeking re-election, Honorable Senator Okech?
No. No.
Senator Okech?
Mr. Speaker, I seek your indulgence. My question was actually in the previous question, and I tried to seek your attention. And
okay, then have your seat. Unfortunately, we've already passed that bridge.
It's a very important question, Mr. Speaker.
I know, but time is of the essence. We are dedicating these minutes for purposes of today's
maybe then you can give me the next question.
I will.
Because
I will do that,
Honorable.
Honorable
Come there as well.
Senator, I'll do that.
Thank you, thank you.
Senator Boni?
According to the visionary President Mwai Kibaki, he had a vision that by the year 2030, connectivity in the country would be at 100%. Could the CS inform us where we are as a country and whether we are on track to achieving 100% connectivity by 2030 as envisioned by President Mwai Kibaki?
Senator Betsiengo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would like to request the Cabinet Secretary to clarify. He prouds himself in the increase of connectivity to 15% by the current administration.
how many numbers, or the increase of numbers of connectivity in Kitui County, and specifically Mwingi North, has been done within the 15% increase? Or is it perceived that Kitui County and Mwingi North in particular is an opposition zone? That's why the connectivity is not happening. Let the CS clarify. Thank you.
Senator Mbugua.
Thank you, Speaker. Cabinet Secretary, could you tell this House how the power sector is going to benefit from the infrastructure fund in terms of connectivity? Thank you.
Senator Veronica.
Honorable CS, welcome back to Senate. And could you confirm to the nation how many homes you have connected so far through this program that you have been doing? How many homes across the whole country you have connected so far?
Senator Omtata.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Honorable Secretary, you have mentioned or you have touched on solar energy. And we know that great powers like even China are shifting strongly towards solar energy. What policy and what efforts is the ministry making to make sure that Kenya makes use of the solar energy that we have in this country, instead of waiting for the sun to convert things into biocarbons that we can tap or into waterfalls? How is the ministry ensuring that this abundant sunshine that we enjoy in this country is convertible into electrical power? And I'm talking about the tax regimes that we have on solar energy, and what efforts is the ministry making to ensure that Kenya becomes a major manufacturer of solar panels and solar technologies? Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Fatuma Dulo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine, Mr. Speaker, is on Isiolo County, a place called Oldonyiro, where I think there are donors from Middle East who sponsored that particular project, and I hope the PS is here because we have had several discussions where part of the town has been electrified, but part of the other town, which is a sub-county now, does not have electricity. And this is an area of insecurity. More specifically, part of the Isiolo County has insecurity issues. And I know last mile connectivity is going on, but I would appreciate if CS can tell us what he's doing to make sure that the projects that have been started are complete, because estimate for Oldonyiro has been done. What is lacking is budget. Can you kindly fast track that process and make sure that the project is complete? Because some of the government institutions like schools in that Oldonyiro has no electricity, while some part has electricity. I thank you.
Senator Wakoli.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mine is to request our good minister to avail to each one of us, the senators of the Republic of Kenya, the statistics of the increment of households in our counties vis-a-vis what we found under the former regime of the former president, so that the doubting Thomases can equally see that figures don't lie. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now proceed to respond.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Let me proceed to respond as follows, in no particular order. Starting, of course, with the question by Honorable Senator Boni Halwali. We are on course, not just to meet the target set out under Vision 2030, but also our obligation under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 7 on access to energy. Honorable Speaker, the government of the Republic of Kenya, and especially this administration, is not just committed to ensuring universal access to electricity by 2030, but is actively working towards that, day in, day out. Honorable Speaker, as we speak, we have got an average of 75% access rate. But that access rate, Honorable Speaker, that natural average could mislead in the sense that some parts of the country are far much high levels, while some parts of the country are still very, very low. Very, very low. That is the kind of disparity, historical imbalance that this administration is correcting, Honorable Speaker. That electricity under this administration is no longer luxury. It is a basic human right, Honorable Speaker. And His Excellency the President has directed us to ensure that we extend electricity to every corner of this country without any form of discrimination. So that as the national average increases, it increases across the country, Honorable Speaker. And coming back to Honorable Wakoli's question, again, and I agree with him, we shall endeavor to provide a detailed response in terms of the increase in number of households connected to electricity from the time this administration took over up to now, county by county, and if possible, constituency by constituency. I am delighted that Bungoma County, where Honorable Wakoli comes from, has made big progress. I've had occasion to visit Bungoma County a number of times, number of constituencies, and I've had a number of meetings with the MPs of Bungoma County. Honorable Speaker, the question by Honorable Seki in terms of engagement of senators, we, Honorable Speaker, endeavor to engage all leaders, especially elected leaders. And a number of times, I call for these meetings county by county. My appeal, Honorable Speaker, is that when such meetings are called, Honorable Speaker, kindly assist us by having the senators also attend alongside the members of the National Assembly, so that we collectively address these issues and plan together, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Seki has had occasion to visit me in my office to address some of these issues. And I'm sure one of the projects in Kajiado County, especially the project under the name of Olepolos, costing some 17.5 million shillings, is covering the areas of interest or of concern to the Honorable Senator. Honorable Speaker, let me go back and say this, that once I provided the statistics about the connectivity rates and the increment in number of connections per county, it will then help us determine collectively which areas to address on a priority basis. Honorable Speaker, I will also do this to cover the issue that has been raised by Honorable Senator Beth Siengo in respect of Kitui County. And I've also had occasion to visit Kitui County a number of times. I've been to Kitui East, Kitui South, I think Kitui West, Kitui Central, Honorable Speaker. Yes, these last 2 years, pushing this electrification program and working closely with all the MPs. And as we do so, we don't do on the basis of who is supporting who, or who belongs to which faction, or to which political formation. No, that is not part of our consideration. We deal with all leaders at all levels, regardless of their political persuasion, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Mbugua, Senator Mbugua, he asked the role that the infrastructure, the National Infrastructure Fund, will play in helping us push forward the agenda of electrification, if I got him right. It is indeed true that this National Infrastructure Fund is a godsend. It's a godsend. In the sense that for the first time, we are going to be able to free the national budget as conceived and approved by the Parliament of Kenya from undertaking major infrastructure projects, but then allow this National Infrastructure Fund to deal with such projects, especially those projects which are viable. And there are many in the energy sector, starting with the generation, transmission, distribution, Honorable Speaker. So the answer is yes. The answer is yes. This historic fund is going to be very, very useful going forward. And I'm sure it will make a very big difference. I will also address the issue of Honorable Senator Maina when we bring the statistics about connectivity by county. And allow me, Honorable Speaker, again to provide answers, specific answers to Honorable Dulo in respect of the particular project in Isiolo. Later, Honorable Speaker. But let me say this in terms of the question by Honorable Senator Umtata. We are alive to the fact as a country that the world is transitioning, energy speaking. Kenya as a country is in the lead in terms of energy transition in this region. Our national grid is supported by about 93% green energy. And solar is playing a key role in this. As we speak, our installed capacity of generation is about 3,300 megawatts, with solar contributing some 210 megawatts, wind 435 megawatts, and so on and so forth. Whereas it is our intention to continue to implement solarization of our grid, we take cognizance of the fact that solar, just like wind, is an intermittent source of energy. And therefore, we must strike a delicate balance between base load and these intermittent sources. So the answer is yes, we shall continue to employ, to adopt solar technology as we move along. But beside the 210 megawatts which is installed, there are a number of households, private entities, that have installed their own solar panels, which in our estimation accounts for about some 600 megawatts. So solar is here to stay, and we have to harness this technology to continue to light up our country. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
We now move to question number 042 by Senator Hamida Kibwana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm Senator Beth. I'm standing in for Senator Hamida Kibwana. The question reads, could the Cabinet Secretary explain the cause of power outages experienced in several estates in Nairobi following the heavy rains and flooding of 6th March 2026, and indicate the areas affected and the duration of the outages? B, what measures has the ministry, together with the Kenya Power and Lighting Company, KPLC, and other relevant agencies put in place to ensure that electricity infrastructure is able to withstand heavy rains, flooding, and other adverse weather conditions? C, has the ministry undertaken an assessment of the vulnerability of substations, transformers, power lines, and related infrastructure in flood-prone urban areas, and if so, what are the findings? D, and the last, what plans are in place to modernize and climate-proof Kenya's electricity infrastructure, as is the case in countries with advanced weather-resilient energy systems like in Japan, Singapore, where we are going, and South Korea? Thank you.
There's, you've left out A, or have you abandoned it? You've gone up to D.
Sorry, Honorable Speaker, I had not seen that. E, what alternative and innovative power solutions is the ministry considering for the continuity of electricity supply during extreme weather conditions, particularly for hospitals, water installations, security facilities, and densely populated residential areas? Thank you.
Honorable CS, you may proceed to respond.
Honorable Speaker, I will respond as follows. That the following were the causes of outages following the heavy rains in Nairobi and the environs. One is flooding. Honorable Speaker, substations in areas where surrounding built environment has constrained or obstructed water paths are vulnerable, and storm water overflow to the substations. The affected substations, Honorable Speaker, in this particular respect were Nairobi West, Industrial Area, Ridgeways, Kimathi, and Syokimau. The substations mentioned supply power to South C, Langata Road, Upper Hill, South B, Industrial Area, Ridgeways, Jogo Road, Nolongo, Mavoko, and Katani areas. Further, Honorable Speaker, the flooding caused damage to power equipment and water ingress in above-ground medium voltage switchgear, leading to total failure and damage to electrical cables. 2, fallen trees on power lines, Honorable Speaker. Due to the storms and strong winds during this time, Honorable Speaker, trees growing near power lines fell on the lines, leading to damage of both high and low voltage power lines and transformers, thereby causing extensive outages. The areas affected by falling trees were within the Dagoretti North, Langata, Westlands, and Ngong. Honorable Speaker, the ministry would like to state that since the network needed full reconstruction before the customers were powered back, the duration of the outages was between 12 hours and 72 hours. And to ensure that the customers remain connected to power, the outages were urgently attended to by correcting the defects occasioned by the heavy rains where possible, transferring customers to alternative power sources, and other short-term measures to ensure customer supply was restored in the shortest time possible, while major repairs were being undertaken, Honorable Speaker. Part B, following the floods, comprehensive assessment of the power infrastructure was undertaken. And on the immediate term, the following remedial measures have been lined up. 1, improve the drainage tunnels around substations in liaison with county governments. 2, engage other entities like Nairobi City County, Kenyatta, Kenha, and Kura to clear stormwater passages. 3, engaging the road authorities to consider enhancing stormwaterways when doing design and construction. 4, cutting down of trees in the wayleave trace in collaboration with Nairobi City County and customers with trees in own land but which encroach the wayleave corridor. Honorable Speaker, the ministry through Kenya Power did undertake an assessment of the effect of the floods and vulnerability of the substations. Indeed, the threat posed by floods on the power system is immense and cannot be just wished away. Therefore, from the assessment, the following medium to the long-term initiatives are being considered. 1, reconstructing the older stations affected by changing drainage patterns caused by newer developments to raise substation levels several meters above ground. 2, undergrounding of power infrastructure to reduce interaction with weather elements. 3, usage of concrete poles in place of wooden poles to reduce damage to the power network while ensuring the lines are more robust and resilient to climate impacts. To make our electricity grid more climate-proof and resilient, Honorable Speaker, it requires a combination of infrastructure upgrades, smart technologies, policy reforms, and risk-informed planning to ensure the power system can withstand and quickly recover from climate-related shocks such as floods, droughts, heat waves, storms, wildfires, and extreme winds. Therefore, there is need, Honorable Speaker, to modernize our grid. Modernization of the grid is a continuous process, and the energy sector agencies have been investing heavily in this regard. Further, Honorable Speaker, to improve our network resilience and reliability, the ministry and her agencies have been investing on smart grid. Honorable Speaker, a smart grid is more reliable, resilient, and easier to maintain, as the operators can easily detect a fault and restore it. A smart grid, Honorable Speaker, will enhance proper maintenance scheduling to avoid blackouts. To conclude, Honorable Speaker, the resilience of a grid is not only enhanced through the hardware upgrade, but also having a competent and well-trained personnel. Therefore, the ministry has continually been training officers across the sector to ensure they have the right skills to run and manage a complex grid. And Kenya Power has been leading in this. Has been leading in this and working very closely with the Ministry of Energy, the Nairobi City County, Kura, and other relevant agencies working in the built environment. They have worked steadily to achieve stable and reliable electricity supply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Senator Betyengo, do you have any supplementary question?
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. The CS has talked of, the first response was to talk of floods in Nairobi. And we know that floods are caused by other different elements, like when the buildings are erected along the riverian land, and that's why water must look for its way and causes the flooding. How will the ministry handle that to ensure that waterways are open? Thank you.
Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Mr. Speaker, mine is actually part of the previous question. Honorable Waziri, first and foremost, I want to thank you for your passionate and commitment in connecting all of our Kenyans. Last time, when you were in Wajir with His Excellency the President, we were promised, Wajir was promised that there will be a connection of the national grid. So what is the plan that Wajir will be connected to the national grid, and how soon or how fast can be done that?
Senator Lelegwe.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm not sure whether the Cabinet Secretary is aware that Samburu County, particularly Mara, is experiencing the worst power outage in the country. My question is, could the Cabinet Secretary explain why Maral Town and several parts of Samburu County continue to experience persistent power outages despite hosting critical national infrastructure, and what measures and long-term measures will be put in place to ensure reliable and stable electricity supply in the county?
Senator Chiranke.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the indulgence. Mine is the issue of faulty transformers, because the CS has alluded to fault transformers that is causing sometimes power outages or blackout. So, Speaker, for example, in a place called Kipsamoite, Masab constituency, for example, there has been a transformer that has been faulty for the last 4 years. So my question is, how long does it take for the Minister of Energy or the Kenya Power and Lighting and Company intervene so that we don't see blackout? Because even average in this city, I think we lose, there's always a power outage between 2 to 5 times a day. In Mosori and Nandi County, where I come from, Mr. Speaker, is that we normally have blackouts up to 3 weeks, which even is embarrassing because I live in that area, Mr. Speaker. Can the CS, apart from holding political meetings with members of parliament, tell us what is the concrete plan? I yield back, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Senator Sigay.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. My question is related to the question that the Honorable Chair guest just asked with regard to the maintenance and management of transformers across the country, particularly for purposes of controlling the outages of power. I ask this question, Honorable Speaker, because the transmission line in Bomet, Narok, which is currently undergoing an upgrade, has largely been a cause of a power outage across Bomet, Narok, and a section of Kisii that line serves. That line, Honorable Speaker, is ongoing in terms of an upgrade. What are the timelines that the Cabinet Secretary could be able to give us to ensure that it becomes operational for purposes of ensuring that the power outage, especially during high traffic time that's in the night, is stopped or at least is reduced? And two, if there is any way the Cabinet Secretary, whether is aware of the Bomet Narok transmission substation, which is actually going to be the holding station for this, the environment, including the land that is hosting that transmission station, is forever dark. I mean, they do not have power. I know, Honorable CS, I've been around that area with you, you know that. I have sought for an intervention, it hasn't happened. If you are able to give us at least an indication of any action taken or to be taken, the people of Kapkwen, Bomet County, will appreciate, especially those who are actually hosting the substation. They are hosting the substation, they have no power. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable CS, you may now respond. Yeah, we'll take the first set of questions.
Honorable Speaker,
Honorable CS, you may proceed.
Okay, thank you. The Honorable Speaker, allow me to start with the question of Honorable Senator Beth Siengo, as I indicated in my response initially. As a sector, as a ministry, together with our agencies, we can only work with relevant government bodies and agencies. And I mentioned here that we're working with the Nairobi City County, with Kura, with Kenaha, to ensure that waterways remain open. We cannot be able to do it ourselves alone, Honorable Speaker. The Honorable Speaker, the question of Bomet. Honorable Speaker, for a fact that the area around Bomet, Kisii, parts of Kisumu County have had challenges of adequate supply of electricity over the years. That challenge, Honorable Speaker, is going to be addressed to a large extent by the completion of the Narok-Bomet transmission line. You will recall, Honorable Speaker, that we did some short stopgap measure through Kenya Power. But the ultimate project, Honorable Speaker, which is being undertaken by Ketraco, is underway, and it should be able to come to a completion in the next 12 months. In the next 12 months, Honorable Speaker. That will, to a large extent, help address the issue of power outages in that region. And above all, it will allow us to once and for all shut down the gas turbine, the Muhoroni gas turbine, Honorable Speaker, which, as you know, is not cost-effective. This line's completion is going to be very instrumental in helping us make that decision. Honorable Speaker, there has been a problem, Honorable Speaker, with wanton vandalism in some parts of Nandi, Honorable Speaker, County, of transformers and other critical energy infrastructure. We are working very, very closely with security agencies to stem the vice and also to ensure that we deal with these cases promptly. And I will be seeking Honorable Senator Siargei to provide my office with more details. Honorable Speaker, it is not our practice to take long to repair or replace faulty transformers, Honorable Speaker. And if there are such cases, Honorable Speaker, they need to be reported promptly for appropriate actions to be taken. Honorable Speaker, again, I know we have got challenges in Samburu, and we are working very, very closely with our relevant agencies. Samburu is one of the counties that is supposed to benefit from COSAP, the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project, Okay? I will be seeking, Honorable Speaker, to engage directly with Senator Legwe outside here to see what we can do jointly to address the issues affecting Samburu, especially areas around Maralal. Okay. Honorable Speaker, Wajir County. And Honorable Speaker, Wajir will be hosting us for Madaraka Day celebrations on 1st June. We are taking some stopgap measures to deal with the matter of Wajir town and environs. But in the fullness of time, we want to see Wajir County connected to the national grid. As we speak, feasibility studies have been completed. Okay? We are basically now working on the financing mechanisms to ensure that we extend the grid from Garissa to Wajir. Again, I will be seeking to engage Senator Abbas and the leadership of Wajir County, including the governor and the other members of the National Assembly, to see how fast we can move with this project collectively. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable CS, for those responses. I've got a long list of members, I believe, asking supplementary questions. And the time allocated for this question is since passed by 2 minutes. I will add another 5 minutes for those questions. And of course, Senator Manzo, go straight to the question, Honorable Senator, so that we keep time, because we need to strictly comply with the next timeline for the next questions.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in Kibwezi West, when a transformer is spoiled and takes a month or two without being fixed, Mr. Speaker, the KPLC officials based in Mali remove a working transformer from an existing line and then take it to another. Is there a way the minister will make sure that we have reliable, long-lasting transformers so that and easy to repair, so that we don't have people on power outage for a long, long time?
Senator Mandago.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my question goes to CS on ensuring that funds that has been set aside for projects in particular regions are utilized for those regions. And I ask because, Honorable Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary is keen to ensure there is equitable connectivity in the country. What happened with the funds that were set aside for a number of counties in the Rift Valley that was dispersed to REREC, but apparently the money has been spent in other areas? And finally, Honorable Speaker, just a small thing, the issue of way leaves.
Senator Mandago, you know you are entitled to ask one supplementary
Allow
question.
me to ask this because it affects the whole country, Honorable Speaker. Just one question. What is the ministry doing about your agencies in terms of utilizing the roadway leaves? We have situations where KPLC erect poles in the middle of the roads, even when the corridor is 90 meters. And when we want to develop the roads, they ask us to pay to relocate those poles. And we have said categorically we are not paying. We want electricity. We have given you a freeway leave on our roads in the counties. You certainly cannot ask us to pay to relocate a pole you deliberately put in the middle of the road.
Senator Okech.
I thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I think the issue of, outages in the country, seeing from my colleagues, is actually not only during weather times, because in Migori County, and the CS is very well familiar with Migori County, we have traveled with them to deal with the issue of electricity. The issue of outages is humongous, and especially it appears like there is an overloading in the grid in Migori. Despite the fact that there is Masaba substation that was established by the CS, there is still a very high demand of electricity because of the ongoing mining activities both in Keancha and the larger Yatike area. And those outages, it seems like the system cannot be able to sustain the capacity. And the issue of transformers in that regard has been a major one. Transformers are blowing time without number, and the outages in Migori are outrageous. Bwana CS, what can be done about these transformers and that issue of overloading? And then, Mr. Speaker, just directly to you, I had sought the indulgence of the substantive speaker, because I think the system wasn't registering me in the first question, but it's a matter of national importance that if the CS might get time just to address the issue of shortages in fuel. Most of our petrol stations, Mr. Speaker, despite the fact that the National Standard Council did allow for the issue of standard quality to be lowered of sulfur down from 10 milligram per kg to 50 milligram per kg, we still have shortages of fuel in most of our petrol stations. Bwana CS, what is going on, and how can that issue of shortage in petrol and diesel be addressed? I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Okech. Lastly, Senator Chesang.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mine is, I've heard the minister talking about many other counties like Samburu, Bomet, Kisumu, and I have not heard anywhere the ministers talking about Trans Nzoia, whereby it is one place where we do not even talk about the outages, but we have places where there are no transformers at all. So, Mr. Speaker, please, I'd like to ask the minister, what plans do they have with Trans Nzoia? I want you to put Trans Nzoia as part of the counties that you are putting as a matter of urgency in terms of the plans that you have. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I've seen Senator Wakoli's hand up. I've not allowed you to speak. I just wanted to take note of the fact that I'm aware you've made a request. Similarly, Senator Mariam. I indicated that I'm giving 5 minutes extra time. If you can answer, if you can ask within 30 seconds, I'll allow you. If you go beyond, I'll stop you. So I'll start with Senator Mariam.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for your generous understanding. Mr. Speaker, my question is about Mandera County, the power outrages. Mr. Speaker, when the press...
Well, I was very intentional. That is why I wanted you to ask the question. We don't need stories anymore. Allow her another moment so that she can ask the question. Proceed, Senator.
Mr. Speaker, when President came to 18 of last year, there are some generators came to Mandera, and those generators' status is unquestionable, Mr. Speaker. Up to now, Mandera is in blackout. So, CS, what is the way forward so that the Mandera County has the electricity? Thank you.
Thank you. You see, you've managed. You still have got 7 seconds. Senator Wakoli, under 30 seconds.
Thank you. Mine is the bulk power plant at Nabiole Falls that is in Webuye. What is the current status, and when are we launching the project? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Wakoli. Honorable CS, you may respond to those questions. And we have got 11 minutes to release you from here, so you may know how to utilize that time.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I will address the issue to deal with the issue raised by Honorable Okech. I'm not going any particular order, Honorable Speaker. Okay? Honorable Speaker, the matter of power outages, it is indeed true that Migori County and the environs, power demand is increasing by the day, especially in view of the expanding mining activities in Nyatike and the environs, Honorable Speaker. Okay? Honorable Speaker, we are clear in our mind as a ministry that working closely with the leadership of Migori County, this can be addressed. How? Honorable Speaker, we have already energized the Sondu-Homa Bay-Awendo transmission line, okay, with a substation, a modern substation at Masaba in Korea West, Honorable Speaker, which has brought tremendous relief, Honorable Speaker. But this relief will be felt more once the Narok-Bomet line is completed, as I mentioned earlier on. So in 12 months' time, we expect to see market change in terms of power supply in Migori and environs once the Narok-Bomet line is completed. But above all, Honorable Speaker, Migori County is privileged to host the famous Gogo hydropower plant, which the government under President William Ruto has now undertaken to upgrade from the former 2 megawatts to some 8.6 megawatts. A project being financed by the KfW, that is the German finance, to the tune of more than 5 billion shillings, Honorable Speaker. So that project, again, once completed, will help us stabilize the grid in terms of power. Not to forget to mention, Honorable Speaker, the completion and energizing of the Sondu-Ndewa transmission line, which has helped address the issue of power supply in Homa Bay and parts of Migori County, Honorable Speaker. So the government is very conscious that Migori and its environs need to be supported, and we are doing exactly that. Honorable Speaker, Trans Nzoia County is not left out. And very soon I'll be visiting Trans Nzoia County and I will be contacting Honorable Senator Chesang that we can go together with the other MPs. The government has allocated some 1.2 billion shillings for electricity connectivity alone in Trans Nzoia County. And this will help us connect some 12,000 households. By the time we get to December this year, you will see the number of households having really gone high on account of this intervention by the government, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, we cannot divert funds earmarked for a particular county or region to elsewhere. And I undertake after this to take the matter up with Honorable Senator Mandago to clearly understand where this could be coming from. And if there's any such attempt, rest assured, Honorable Speaker, that I will not allow it. That all funds earmarked for specific regions must be used for projects in those regions. Honorable Speaker, again, Nabiole Falls in Webuye, Bungoma County. We are currently undertaking a feasibility study, of course, under Kenyan. And this is going to be the first hydropower plant in what was then Western Province. We have taken some measures. I know there was a change in the contractor, the supplier of the generators. There was a change, and because of the change, there have to be teething problems, which we are sure we shall be able to surmount in the fullness of time. But otherwise, we continue to engage closely with the leadership of Mandera I will be inviting Senator Miriam to also come along as we address these issues. Let me conclude, Honorable Speaker, by dealing with the issue of fuel, as was raised by Honorable Senator Okech. Let me say this from the start. From the outset, Honorable Speaker, we have got adequate fuel supplies in the country. We have got adequate fuel supplies in the pipeline system, Honorable Speaker. All the products, petrol, diesel, kerosene, jet fuel, Honorable Speaker. And this has been made possible, Honorable Speaker, that in spite of the challenges that the world is going through, especially following the turmoil in the Middle East, this country has been lucky to survive that turmoil on account of the very robust government-to-government fuel importation system or framework. Honorable Speaker, the government-to-government fuel importation framework is what has enabled this country to be where it is. Otherwise, we would be talking of something different, Honorable Speaker. Many countries, without mentioning even some neighboring countries, have had serious challenges, Honorable Speaker, that you can't believe. But having said so, the latest challenge that was experienced yesterday and parts of today was occasioned by a technical and administrative hitch, which we have since resolved. That hitch curtailed the normal uptake of fuel by some of our oil marketing companies. It has since been resolved, and normal supply is resuming today. I am sure by the end of today, when you go to filling stations, you will be able to get a supply of all the products of petroleum. Honorable Speaker, we continue to monitor the happenings in the Middle East very, very closely. And we continue to engage very, very closely with our international oil company suppliers, the IOCs, together with their local agents, that is the oil marketing companies that work with them closely. And we have got no doubt, as the government, that even in the worst case scenario, this country is not going to suffer any fuel shortage. I just want to appeal to Kenyans to be patient and to bear with us as we address some of these small hitches. Honorable Speaker. And I must thank all the stakeholders, especially the oil marketing companies, for remaining cooperative and working very, very closely with us to be able to navigate these very challenging times. Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Honorable CS, there is a question by Senator Manzo. He's already raising concerns that you have not been able to respond to. And also the last one by Senator Mandago as regards the poles which are normally erected along or in the middle of the roads when they're required to be paid for relocation. Those two you haven't answered.
Yes, it's about the... Senator Manzo talked about...
Senator Manzo's question was about repairs of transformers.
Yes.
And the efficiency or the effort that the Kenya Power and Lighting...
Correct, Honorable Speaker. Yes. And as I've said earlier on, Honorable Speaker, we endeavor as a ministry, and of course working closely with our relevant agencies, especially Kenya Power, first and foremost, to ensure that the quality of transformers which are procured are up to date, are proper, Honorable Speaker. But secondly, Honorable Speaker, whenever there are cases of breakdown or malfunction of transformers, our appeal is that such cases need to be reported promptly. And we are socializing our officers to be able to respond in time, Honorable Speaker, whenever such cases are reported. Honorable Speaker, There was again the question of KPLC, okay? Poles being required to be relocated when road construction is supposed to be done. Honorable Speaker, these are issues that we can address on a case-by-case basis. On a case-by-case basis, we continue to modernize and improve our infrastructure, and working closely with the relevant agencies, which I insist have to include the road agencies, Kenha, Kura, and so on and so forth, and the respective county governments. We can be able to minimize such cases, or the requirement to be able to locate these poles in the future, if from the first instance, they are placed at the right places. Honorable Speaker, thank you.
Honorable CS, before I let you off, there are certain commitments that you made before the House, and I would like to remind you. One is a commitment you made on the 19th of November 2025 to a question by Senator Honorable Mwendo Agataya, CBS MP, on the data on the level of electricity connectivity in each constituency in Tharaka Nithi County. That information is yet to be availed. A commitment was made on the 19th of November 2025 when you were appearing before the chamber. Secondly, the same date, you equally made a commitment to avail information to Senator Boni Halwale, CBS MP, on the projects being implemented to enhance power reliability in the western region of Kenya. Those two, Honorable CS, are yet to be honored, and that is one way of us as a House seeking to implement or enforce the commitments that are made whenever you appear before this House. Kindly undertake within timeline certain that you will avail these two pending commitments.
Let me, first of all, Honorable Speaker, apologize if there was some sort of inaction on our part. I know I've had extensive engagement with Senator Halwale since then in other fora, but let me undertake that in the next 2 weeks, I will be able to provide those responses and those statistics. Yes.
CS, I'll not allow you 2 weeks. This is 19th of November, 2025. We are in the month of May, 2026. I do not want to allow you to be interpreted to be inefficient. I'll give you 1 week.
Well guided, Honorable Speaker.
Give you 1 week.
Well guided.
And this communication, of course, your officers knows the channels with which this will happen. Senator Boni, I'll not allow you to intervene. I hope in the next 1 week, your responses your information will be made available. If it doesn't, then you know what to do. And as well, I know what to do. Honorable CS, similarly to the one by Mwenda Gataya, I will not allow you to intervene. I have allowed the CS 1 week to respond. With that, honorable members and the CS, would like to appreciate you for appearing before the House and responding to the questions.
The question, Honorable Speaker.
The last question, sorry, I didn't indicate that. The Honorable Senator Murgor is not in the chamber. He did not nominate anybody to respond, to ask the question, but in the presence of your responses, the procedure is that we will transmit your response to the Honorable Member, and therefore you do not need to respond in the chamber because we already have the response with us. Other than that, there is no more question to you, Honorable CS. You are free to leave the chamber. If I will allow you any intervention after I release the CS. Senator, Honorable CS, No, I have released the CS. I have released the Honorable CS. That question, in the absence of the member, is dropped because there is already transmitted response by the CS. Now you can enter. Yes. give Senator Eddie the mic.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to express my concern. And Mr. Speaker, this is a very dicey place to be, because in this house I never want to be in the very bad book of the Speaker of varying your decision or anything. But Mr. Speaker, I think that in the interest of the House, once a member has asked a question, it ought to be a property of the House, because some of these questions, Mr. Speaker, do affect some of us variably. And you have seen even in the questions that were asked, including yourself in Bomet, Mr. Speaker, the questions that were asked do affect you. So I would have preferred, Mr. Speaker, that even if the member is not here and the transmission has been done, for the interest of the public, you perhaps could use standing order number 1 to allow in future the CS to just give the adequate response to the entire House and to the country, because the questions are in the best interest of the House and the country, not just for the member. Just a plea with you, Mr. Speaker.
I appreciate concerns that you've raised, Senator Eddie. Unfortunately, the application of standing order number 1 is in circumstances where there is no express provision from the standing orders as to what action can be done by the chair. In this case, the standing orders requires the member to nominate someone in his absence. Same case we do apply on statements and even motions. And therefore, we need to play with the standing orders and comply. As you all know, this is a house of record. If we don't apply as it is today, it will affect the same thing. But it's a concern that we should see how we definitely would deal with. So for purposes of maybe additional inquiry, we could look at the response by the Honorable CS so that we can do a supplementary inquiries. I think with that, we can move to the next question. The Honorable CS for Trade is in the House. We can usher him in. We can usher the Honorable CS to come in.
Honorable Senators, Senator Professor Ojienda. Honorable Senators, the CS is here. Cabinet Secretary for Investments, Trade and Industry. Bwana Waziri, karibu to the Senate. We will go straight to the question by Senator Professor Ojienda.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will proceed to ask question number 24 to the CS Investment, Trade and Industry. Part A, could the Cabinet Secretary provide details on the forms of support the Ministry extends to county governments to build capacity for sustainable market management and to ensure uninterrupted operations in key markets, and explain how the Ministry mentors the effectiveness of such support? Part B, what oversight mechanisms exist to facilitate national government intervention whenever recommendations for operational improvements are not implemented fully and promptly, or whenever county-level decisions are adversely impact local economic activity? And could the CS provide details on how any instance where such mechanisms were invoked? Lastly, Mr. Speaker, what proactive strategies is the Ministry implementing to ensure the continuity of market operations, promote economic resilience, and protect traders' livelihoods, particularly in high-volume trading hubs across the country? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Cabinet Secretary, you're welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Let me begin by expressing my gratitude to you and the honorable senators for the opportunity extended to the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry concerning the national government support towards sustainable market management in the counties. Mr. Speaker, in line with the letter dated 4th of March 2026, reference number Senate 4SCOR 17, dated 24th, allow me to proceed and make submissions in respect to the above issues raised by Senator Professor Tom Ojienda. A, could the Minister provide the details on forms of support the Ministry extends to county governments to build capacity for sustainable market management and ensure uninterrupted operations in key markets, and also explain how the Ministry monitors the effectiveness of such support? So the Ministry of Investment, Trade and Industry provides technical and institutional support to county governments to strengthen sustainable market management and ensure uninterrupted operations in key markets. Our key form of support include: 1, providing business development services. This is in the form of market intelligence and advisory services to support market operations, micro, small, and medium enterprise. Mr. Speaker, this is informed by the fact that the most important part in the citation of a market is actually information on where people want to trade, what they want to trade, at what price, what is going on, where is there a deficit, and all this provides useful information that the county governments can be able to use, including understanding matters to do with packaging, food processing, consumer trends, and others. The second one is supporting capacity building through institutions such as the Kenya Industrial Research and Development Institute, which conducts feasibility studies, market assessment, technology need assessment, and enterprise development training. These initiatives help county governments improve efficiency in the management of local trading spaces. Mr. Chairman, allow me to say that whenever an entrepreneur or any business person wants to set up any business, we offer specific training, whether you want to do soap making so that you can avail the soap into the market. And every month we are training young people on how they can be able to process. And I think counties have an opportunity to be able to facilitate so that in our markets we not only have raw materials, but also processed or semi-processed products. And we can be able to tailor-make some of this training to suit the needs of individual counties. If it's a pastoralist county, then we'll be able to work along that. If it's a fish-dominated economy, we can also be able to align our training to support the predominant economic activity. 3 is that the ministry, in collaboration with the State Department of Housing, developed policy guidelines for the development and management of markets. The State Department for Housing is monitoring the implementation of the guidelines in collaboration with county governments. Mr. Speaker, as you may be aware, we have markets being developed across the entire country, and these are meant to offer decent housing for business people and traders, so that they can be able to have a place where they can trade their goods. But more importantly, Mr. Speaker, is to also give them an opportunity to participate in dignified trade. It will be recalled that a good number of our Juakali business people work by the roadside. They have to face the sun until late in the evening. Their wares are exposed to the sun, and you can imagine if they are perishables like tomatoes, then it means that the post-harvest loss becomes very high. So in the markets that the government is currently building, our main target is to give dignity and honor to trade, while at the same time reducing the post-harvest losses. The ministry is collaborating with county governments in developing infrastructure such as the county aggregation and industrial parks that provide facilities for aggregation, processing, storage and marketing of agricultural produce. For KIPES and other market support initiatives, the ministry is keen in undertaking baseline studies and market assessments, and as well as periodic progress reviews and field monitoring. Mr. Speaker, we have counties, about 17 counties that have signed to the KIPE, and I want to confirm that some of them have developed very well and are almost at the tail end. And in line with this, we have about 5 that are due to be commissioned, and His Excellency the President will be launching some of them from the month of June. And we invite the Senate to participate in this, because this is a groundbreaking initiative that is going to bring value addition closer to the people. And the idea behind the KIPES is to make aggregation possible, so that if it's an avocado or macadamia growing area, we can have a place where they can all be brought together, graded, packed, stored, and also buyers can have a one-stop place where they can buy. More importantly, Mr. Speaker, is that we are also working to align with financial institutions, with buyers, to ensure that there's a seamless flow of commodities into our markets. We also have an intervention on policy and regulatory support, and through the State Department for Trade, we formulate and review domestic trade policies in collaboration with county governments, supporting counties with market planning, legal and regulatory framework, and advisory on sustainable trade practices. So from time to time, when a county seeks the support of our ministry, we are able to provide support and on the regulatory framework, advisory on sustainable markets, and basically all other issues relating to the market. Through the Kenya Bureau of Standards, Weights and Measures, and the Kenya National Trading Corporation, the ministry promotes standards, packaging, quality control, weighing and measuring of products, and distribution systems of essential products to improve market competitiveness. The ministry also works with counties to stimulate investment and business activity in markets by promoting value addition and branding, linking county enterprises, that's the MSMEs, to domestic and international markets. Mr. Speaker, allow me to say that the Kenya Bureau of Standards is an extremely important entity in ensuring that the commodities that are sold conform to the standards set for the country. Weights and measures allows us to confirm that when we are talking of a kg or of maize or rice, it is indeed a kg. And Mr. Speaker, all these are facilitative support we give to the counties. The ministry also coordinates with various state corporations, such as the warehouse receipting system, the Kenya Export Promotion and Branding Agency, KEPROBA, and the Kenya National Trading Corporation, and collaborating with development partners to support counties through trade promotion programs, market development initiatives, access to trade information, and export opportunities. The multi-agency approach ensures that counties receive a comprehensive support for market sustainability. And Mr. Speaker, allow me to say that all this multi-agency approach is brought together through my ministry to ensure that all the problems relating to our markets are solved. And on the invitation of any county government that wants support, even a clinic to ensure that we sensitize them, we are always available. The warehouse receipt system, established under the WRS Act of 2019, supports the ministry in strengthening sustainable agricultural market systems and enhancing the capacity of county governments to ensure efficient and uninterrupted operations of key commodity markets through capacity building and technical assistance, certification, licensing, and regulation of warehouse operators, development of structured agricultural markets, policy guidance and regulatory frameworks, and undertaking monitoring and evaluation for effectiveness, among others. Further, Mr. Speaker, the joint national county coordination mechanisms, the ministry engages county governments through intergovernmental trade forums and technical committees. These platforms allow the ministry to access and review trade and market programs to address implementation challenges and align national and county initiatives. The ministry, through its domestic trade function, monitors the impact of trade policies and practices on domestic trade, including markets. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, secondly, is the question by the Honourable Senator was, what oversight mechanisms exist to facilitate national government intervention whenever recommendations for operational improvements are not implemented, and promptly or whenever county government decisions are adversely impacting local economic activities? And could the Cabinet Secretary provide details of any instance where that has happened? The existing key oversight mechanisms that facilitate the national government intervention whenever recommendations for operational interventions are not implemented fully and implemented include the following. One is the Investment, Trade and Industry Sector Intergovernmental Coordination Framework. In collaboration with the Council of Governors, the Ministry has finalized development and is soon launching the Investment, Trade and Industry Sector Intergovernmental Coordination Framework. The Trade IGCF is a structured, co-owned platform anchored in the Constitution, Article 6, 2, 10, 174, 175, and 189, the Intergovernmental Relations Act of 2012, and the principles of subsidiary mutual accountability and cooperative governance. Further, the framework provides an important foundation for strengthening collaboration between the national and county governments in the investment, trade, and industry sector. The frameworks focus on coordination, consultation, and information sharing in timely and aligned manner with the constitutional objectives and economic development priorities. Further, the framework is yet to be formally inaugurated, and endorsed for us to proceed to the next steps. But at least for planning, Mr. Speaker, that has already been done. Secondly is on policy and regulatory oversight. The national government develops national trade and economic policies, sets standards and regulations, provides guidelines for county governments, and for instance, the national trade policy, the national trade standards, consumer protection laws, weights and measures, regulations for counties, and many others. C, Mr. Speaker, is what proactive strategies is the ministry implementing to ensure the continuity of market operations, promote economic resilience, and protect traders' livelihoods, particularly in high-volume trading hubs across the country. The first one is through the Kenya National Trading Corporation as the anchor of state initiatives to create a price stabilization for essential products. And to this end, we address the rise in the cost of living, and the cabinet approved a framework to position the Kenya National Trading Corporation as the anchor of state initiatives to create a price stabilizer for essential products. As such, KNTC, as a trading company, has always supplemented other state initiatives by creating strategic reserves for staple and essential food items. Vital farm inputs, including fertilizer and any other goods necessary for ensuring stability in the prices of core goods consumed in the country. Mr. Speaker, it will be remembered that in areas such as Moya, where we produce rice, we have been having a program to buy from the farmers. And this has been very useful in helping us to create stability. Secondly is modernization of wholesale and retail markets across the country. The ministry is working with the national and county governments to develop and modernize wholesale and retail markets across the country. This will ensure smooth market operations and accommodate growing trade populations. This is through identification of areas where new markets can be constructed and also expanding the existing ones. Mr. Speaker, one important matter around the modernization of markets and creating dignity around the trading community is that when you have businesses or traders who are mobile and therefore they don't have a particular station where you can find them tomorrow, it becomes difficult for financial institutions to be able to support them. But when you localize them and you can be able to give their specific address, we have found that even financial institutions are ready to come. And we believe that through this modernization, we will create dignity, we will create growth and employment, Mr. Speaker. Third is integration of markets with the county aggregation and industrial parks to link production with trading centers. This will reduce congestion in major hubs such as Gikomba, Isili, and Kamkunji, and it will also improve on storage, distribution, and logistics for traders. I have already mentioned about KIPES, and again, I want to say that this is going to be a big game changer in terms of even sourcing. And one of the areas we are trying to work on is availability of information at the national level. So if you have a company that wants to source groundnuts or avocado or macadamia, when you have the information at the national level, we can be able to direct them to the specific counties where they can be able to find that. And this is because of the realization that the information gap is very big, that there will be a huge demand on one end and a surplus on the other, but because the two people are not connected, they do not get to benefit from that market situation. And therefore, the use of IT is going to come in very handy. Route to market strategy, Mr. Speaker, the ministry has undertaken route to market studies, a strategy meant to strengthen market access and ensure trade continuity. This will also expand opportunity for traders, beyond local markets and also strengthen supply chains and export readiness. Mr. Speaker, this study is particularly important because a good number of Kenyans will engage in the production or growth of a particular product and then look for the market later. We strongly believe that a market-driven approach is very useful, where you identify the market, then you come back and you reverse and now plant or engage in the production of the commodities where the market is going to be. And that cannot be made when we don't have sufficient information on what the market needs. So this route to market strategy is very important, and every county has its own unique circumstances. So we must align it to the counties, and also more importantly to ensure that the actual business people know what is required in terms of standards, quantities, and so on. Trade facilitation and regulatory harmonization. The ministry is working towards harmonization of trade regulations and standards to reduce barriers that affect traders. Simplification of business licensing, coordination and other state agencies to address trade issues such as counterfeits, taxation, customs, and import procedures affecting traders. This will protect traders from unfair competition and ensure compliance and quality with quality and safety standards. Mr. Speaker, on trade facilitation and regulatory harmonization, I want to confirm that a number of our products are actually on sale even across the border. In my own home county, we produce a lot of carrots that are actually sold in Kampala, and therefore to ensure that our traders are able to harvest from Mount Narok and transport all the way to Kampala and Dar es Salaam and other markets is a responsibility that we share with the counties. And just to also confirm that there are deficits even within markets in the larger East Africa, including places as far as Djibouti, Addis Ababa, and therefore when we give this information to our traders, instead of selling their products at a throwaway price, they can be able to connect, and we are able to reduce the cross-border challenge or bureaucracy that would otherwise intimidate them. Also, connecting them with the markets helps us to deal with the logistics so that they can come together, build the necessary volumes, and seek partnerships with the markets across the border. On prioritization and protection of MSMEs, the ministry prioritizes inclusion and protection of MSMEs operating in high-volume markets through giving support such as access to trade finance through our financial institutions, but also through government interventions, including through KDC, among others, and also business advisory services, noting that not all of them may have the necessary knowledge, especially in engaging in formal business. And that information gap sometimes has been a hindrance. So we need to provide the necessary advisory services so that even as they engage banks, markets within and also outside the country, they have all the knowledge required. And we also do training on standards, packaging and market requirements. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, is that the ministry is equally facilitating the formation of producer and trader business groups to strengthen bargaining power. So taking 1 ton of carrots all the way to Kampala may not be economically viable. So we need to find a way of bringing them together, benefiting from the economies of trade, and also being able to help them to negotiate, because at the international level, we also need some of these skills that are necessary. Mr. Speaker, we also have initiatives by the warehouse receipting system. The key strategies undertaken by the ministry through the Warehouse Receipt System Council include expansion of the warehouse receipt system, expanding the network of certified warehouse operators across key agricultural producing regions to support structured commodity trading. And just to clarify on warehouse receipting, we are trying to deal with the previous situation where farmers are forced to sell their produce in duress because they need money urgently. The markets may not be favorable at that particular moment, and they need money to meet their bills. And therefore, Mr. Speaker, through this warehouse receipting system, government has licensed a number of warehouse receipt operators. And when you take your produce there, you get a document that is bankable. And you can hold this document. It is one that banks are also ready to cash. And we believe this is a game changer, especially for commodities that are not perishable. In other words, they can stay for a month or two. And through this, Mr. Speaker, if a farmer or a trader can get 30 or 40% of the value, then he can be able to meet his immediate needs. And in the long run, they will not have sold their produce under desperation. The image and desperation arising from perishable commodities and lack of market solutions should not be allowed to go on. And we believe that this is one of those systems that deserve the support of all of us. Mr. Speaker, allow me to go on the issue of promotion of structured agricultural markets and reduction of post-harvest losses through certification and regulation of warehouses and strengthening market access and financing through linkages between farmers, traders, financial institutions, and commodity buyers is one very important thing, Mr. Speaker. So when the farmer grows a commodity and they have no idea where to sell it, then we have a big problem. When you have no financial institutions to support, as we await for the product to be sold, then another problem comes in. So the ministry comes and provides that. So digitization and market transparency are key instruments that can help us to have information across and also to create transparency so that a farmer does not end up getting the least while other players who have come in between get everything. And I think protection of the producer is extremely important so that they can produce more in days to come. The Council operates through the use of electronic warehouse receipt system for tracking commodity deposits, withdrawals, and transactions. This enhances transparency, improves market information flow, and strengthens confidence among market participants. Mr. Speaker, one of the known trends, especially in agriculture, is that when people produce wholeheartedly a commodity, hoping to make a lot of money, and they don't succeed in making money at that particular time, in the next season, they tend to reduce because of the dented confidence in the market. So if we are able to have a continuous support for farmers so that they can have access to the market, then we will be able to up production across the board. Lastly is on strategic partnerships and stakeholder coordination. Through the warehouse receipt systems, we do collaboration with county governments, farmer cooperatives, financial institutions, and development partners to strengthen aggregation, storage, and market infrastructure. These partnerships enhance the resilience of agricultural markets and protect the livelihoods of traders and producers across the country. I submit. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. Professor Ojenda, do you have a supplementary question?
Speaker, I have one supplementary question that arises from Part A of the questions that I asked the CS. CS, at response number 4, you state that the CAIPs, or County Aggregation and Industrial Parks, so far, 5 out of the 17 have been completed. That rounds off to 29% completion rate. Please explain to us, Waziri, why the status of the other 12 CAIPs that the national government partnered with the county governments to fund, and why the other 12 are not complete. or their current status. You have also stated that KIPES is meant to provide facilities for aggregation of processing and marketing agricultural produce and all that. You then refer to your county, Nakuru, I suppose, as manufacturing carrots. I think carrots are grown, Waziri. Thank you.
Cabinet Secretary, you can respond to Ujenda's supplementary question.
Thank you, Professor. I think the point, Mr. Speaker, is that 5 of the 17 are ready for commissioning, and we'll be able to share those states. Some of them include Meru, Kirinyaga, and I think they are a good case study of how government can be able to align and with the market and also provide a solution. So it does not mean the others are not complete. They are at various stages of completion. And just for information, the KIPES were a joint effort between the national government and the county governments. What I would want to state at this point is that the government has provided 100% of all the funds for the 17, and the counties were to provide the balance. But, Mr. Speaker, a similar question has been asked before the Senate, and we'll be able to provide a detailed answer on this issue regarding where each particular KIPE is, what the government has disbursed, and maybe the way forward. But the lessons that we have learned over time will also be very important moving forward. With respect to the carrots, I did mention that the KIPE stands for County Aggregation. And aggregation simply means bringing the different farmers and producers together, packaging. So I think we need to review our understanding of manufacturing. Really, at the KIPES level, what you're looking at is value addition, packaging, sorting, and all that. Because as we said, in a county that produces, say, avocado or macadamia, a farmer will be doing half a ton, another and a quarter a ton, but we need a center where they can all come, they are graded, they are packaged, and then now that makes it easy even for buyers to know that I want 20 tons, I go to Kirinyaga or Embu and so on. So the idea is to create mini or cottage industries there. And just for your information, we are also introducing cold rooms. So for example, in a county like Nyanza or Migori and many others that are in the fish space, which is perishable, we know that farmers or fishermen for that matter, whenever they catch their fish, they are desperate because there's nowhere to store their fish. So through these KIPES, we can be able to manage the market, because you can have your produce, have it for 2-3 days or a week before the market regulates itself. In the areas where we do other commodities such as vegetables like Meru, we have a fully functional cold room which can be run by a cooperative. So instead of you throwing your produce to the market when the prices don't allow, you can go store it for a week or a month, and then you can bring it. So indeed, it may not be the hardcore manufacturing that we have, but in a way, it is part of the agro-processing that is necessary to help our farmers to add value. And we have found that with very minimal processing, you are able to double or even sometimes triple the value. And I think this is really where we are going. And also to encourage, instead of selling the potato, maybe you can do the crisps. Instead of selling just carrots, you can be able to package them in long life and they can stay for a month and so on. So I think this is a conversation we want to have with our cooperatives, with our farmers and our business people, and to say that the opportunity is with us here. Thank you.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. And I also want to take this opportunity to thank you for schooling Professor Senior Counsel Ujenda on the meaning of aggregation. Senator Boni Kalwale.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me to congratulate the Minister. Not many members in this House will know that he was my colleague in Parliament in 2002 to 2013. Yes, now they know, especially junior people like Kenya here. Mr. Speaker, before I raise my question, I would like to draw the attention of the Minister to the provision of the Constitution of Kenya, 4th schedule, that divides functions between the national and the county governments. And Article 187. In 4th schedule, Minister, the function of markets falls squarely with county governments. And in 187, the Constitution goes further and tells you in subsection 2 that if a function or power is transferred from one government to one level to another government at the other level, B, constitutional responsibility for the performance of that function or exercise of power shall remain within the government to which it is assigned by the 4th schedule. Now, we have seen as legislators that the national government, your ministry, and the office of the president, and the president himself, have taken the lead role in this particular exercise, especially KIPES, and to a large extent, most of the markets in the country. Could you explain why the cabinet is not abiding by the Constitution, is attempting to take away function that has been given to county governments? And yourself, you have been a very successful governor in Nakuru. You've just told us that the president is inviting us to join them when he'll be launching other such functions. Why do you want us to come to be witnesses when you're breaching the Constitution of Kenya? Finally, but not least.
Senator Kalwale only allowed one supplementary question.
Yes, it is the same question, but
in a different format.
It's the same question, Mr. Speaker.
The same question. That question has been
the
well
same
understood.
Question. That was A of that question. Now I'm going to
B. Will be a second question. Senator Boni Kalwale.
Mr. Speaker, most obliged.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Eddie Okech.
Mr. Speaker, I'll be straightforward to the Minister because he has mentioned a number of areas that concern me in Migori County, and I want to just condense it into the issue of market access, particularly on 2 commodities that you've mentioned expressly, maybe by passing, but not specifically going to how they are currently manifesting in Migori County. Waziri, the first commodity that I wanted to make clarity about how your government is supporting market access is the issue that you just mentioned on cottage industries on potatoes. In Getonganya, that is in Mabera, there is 100-ton daily production potential for a potato factory that was placed there by European Union and partly by your government that is not functioning, and 6,500 farmers are experiencing serious losses because of middlemen in Kuria. And they are producing this potato that you are talking about very well, that they should make 2 crips, but this has been a pipe dream that has not happened for the last 5 years. Could you please give us a status report on that particular commodity, the potato in Getonganya in Kuria West constituency? And then the last commodity that you have also touched but has continued wallowing in Migori County is actually gold, which is very, very important in the country. And Mr. Speaker, the ministry that would think about helping our artisanal farmers, or rather miners, technically, has been doing it very well, which is the Ministry of Mining, in terms of just providing the technical and the support that is needed to some extent. But for this particular ministry, Waziri, I wanted you to give us a status report in terms of how are you supporting Migori miners, be it in Kiancha, be it in Masara, be it in Nyatike. In terms of centralized and value addition, when you think about issues around establishing a joint refinery as well as centralized export systems, which you have indicated will be very key in terms of cottaging this particular area, so that the gold price in Migori County is also not left to middlemen, and they're not making money out of it, yet most of them are artisanal miners and don't have capacity to access better markets and better infrastructure to be able to make money out of their sweat in the gold mines. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Mariam Sheikh.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, my question is, first I have to thank the CS and there's 13 county project which has been flagged out as under the KAIP, and among them is Mandera. And as the CS alluded, that most of these projects status is not known. Now, we as the House, let him report the status of all the projects which are there. But my question is CS aware that most of these projects which has been completed as KAIP, it is not in use? One, because of some essential things like water, electricity, and the role accessibility to the market. So what is the way forward and what is the measure that this market which has been completed can be used? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Mariam. You do realize that the county governments also have a role to play, but we'll allow the CS to reply. Senator Siango.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. In the response to the questions, the primary question, the CS mentioned that the ministry helps county SMEs by linking to domestic and international markets. Can the CS give examples of county and SMEs that they have linked to international markets and the success rate of this initiative? And as a response to that, Mr. Speaker, in Kitui County, we produce a lot of dengue. I would like to know the strategy the ministry is using for value addition and marketing of dengue from Kitui and other dengue growing counties. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Maybe we can allow the CS to answer the 4 supplementary questions, and then we take another 4. Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to start with the questions as raised by the Honorable Kalwale, and indeed to confirm that we were together in the 10th Parliament. So the first is the responsibility of markets lies with the county governments. I think that's correct, and it's well articulated in the Constitution. But we must also agree that there's that which the counties have been able to achieve, and whenever county governments come forward and seek support in delivery of a particular function, they can enter into an agreement with the national government, which is the case in the market scenario. So when we say that the markets are complete and we will be doing the commissioning, this is in collaboration with the county governments. In fact, the governors have written to us, we are now complete, and we would want to launch these markets. And because the national government has contributed half, while the county governments have contributed half, then we also have a responsibility to ensure that the resources put by the national government are actually put into good use, are complete, and more important, Mr. Speaker, to appreciate that although there are these very hardline distinctions between national and county governments, to the ordinary mwananchi, what they want is service delivery. And there are many components within the KAIP that are delivered by the national government. For example, power. Also we have issues to do with water, issues to do with roads. Because again, if you come up with a market that is logistically inaccessible, even if it is a county function and you require a national road to access there. So we have found out within our first phase of the KIPE implementation that there are many things we had not looked at that involve both national and county governments. And in our second phase of the implementation of the KIPEs, we will be looking to incorporate some of the lessons we have learned. Like, for example, we allocated 500 million to all the KIPEs, irrespective of what services you already have, because there are certain KIPEs where power was already there, the roads were already there, the sewer system is there. How would you compare that with one where none of those facilities were there, including even any other that would require you to access? So, Mr. Speaker, it is not possible to have one number for all of them, and I think these are some of the lessons that we have learned in the course of this discussion. So the invitation by the national government is in collaboration with county, and the responsibility of my ministry is to ensure that government resources are used well, and indeed there's no wastage on public resources. Mr. Speaker, allow me to go to Migori West, and the Honourable Member has alluded that we have a nearly 100-ton potato potential. And I think maybe the first thing to say is that we must diversify our definition of what food security is. I think for the longest period, food security was equal to maize. So if we didn't have sufficient maize, then we were food insecure. Yet, much of the potatoes from Migori, parts of Kisii, Nyandarua, Nakuru, and many other of these places have excess potatoes. But working together with the Ministry of Agriculture, we are trying to deal with one market challenge that we have. The varieties that are grown in most of our areas are varieties that have a very short shelf life. So after harvesting in the next 2 to 3 weeks, they will not be able to last beyond the 2-3 weeks. Therefore, the farmers are always desperate. There are other varieties that have been introduced in the market. They may be slightly expensive, but they are more productive, they are more resilient, and can be used for specialized markets, including some of the big international franchises we have, including KFC. So I think what we really need to do is, one, to help our farmers to grow the right varieties, connect them through contract farming to some of these big international companies. And one of the things we have tried to do is to ensure that, unlike in the past where potatoes and oranges would be imported, we are now trying to understand which varieties that need to be grown and how we can connect them to the markets. Mr. Speaker, allow me to say that in my conversations with some of the manufacturers in the area of potatoes, we are still importing potato paste from Egypt because it is required as a critical ingredient in making the tomato paste. So what we are trying to work on now is to get that particular tomato that would be grown in some of our areas across the country, link them with the farmers, and together we can work together. In the case of Migori, Mr. Speaker, we are also trying to encourage business people to realize the potential in our counties. Migori is an extremely rich county with gold, food, access even to our neighboring countries. So the biggest drive is really to ensure that the capital we find in the big cities can also be channeled there. And through that, Mr. Speaker, we have organized several business forums, including one we had in Nyanza in 2013 that brought about, I think, 5 of the counties, but we would be glad to also do Migori specific. On the artisanal miners, Mr. Speaker.
Just a moment, Cabinet Secretary. What is your
point of intervention? Is on a statement by the CS. Mr. CS, please clarify how potatoes can be used to make tomatoes. Potato paste.
Senator Ojienda, I can reply to that. You were not paying attention.
We are dealing with counterfeit. Is the CS saying that Kenyans are using potatoes as tomatoes?
No. Senator Ojienda. Yes, Senator Kinyo.
Mr. Speaker, we are concentrating and we are following what the Cabinet Secretary is saying. We are following what the Cabinet Secretary is saying, but I am sure the good professor is busy on his phone getting instructions from Mr. Speaker, you know from who. So please allow us to listen to the Cabinet Secretary.
Thank you, Senator Professor. I agree with Senator Kinyo. You did not listen to what the CS was saying. Can I answer for the CS? It was very clear. He said potato paste is a requirement in making tomato paste. So we are importing tomato paste from Egypt.
Paste.
No.
So are we selling tomato paste?
It's part of the ingredients.
Potatoes for tomatoes?
No. Potato paste. Base ingredient, exactly. Thank you, Senator Mtata. Professor will school you after the class, after the Senate session. CS, please proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Just for the benefit of my good professor, I think all we are trying to say is that there are gaps in the market, and our role is actually to connect those market gaps and tell our farmers. So that if it's potatoes, we get the right potatoes that the industry is asking for. Tomatoes, the same. And just for clarity, in some of the countries, including Thailand and others, they don't use products such as cassava for eating. These are products that can be used as a base in pharmaceuticals. And that's why we want to take even our potatoes and all the others. So I think we just want to say that we want to bring value addition so that we can move forward. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, allow me to go to the Honourable Member on Migori West. There's a specific question on a refinery for our miners. And one of the biggest challenges we continue to face in Africa and in Kenya in particular is that we have not developed the necessary infrastructure, both to do the testing and more importantly also refining. So we end up having our minerals being sold to the big markets and we fetch maybe 30-40% of their true value. So one of the things that Kenya is trying to position itself is to be the refining hub for the region, not just for the country, but the entire region from DRC, Uganda, and all the others. And as you may have heard the speech by the president in Tanzania, these were some of the conversations that we would want to entrench. There will be huge opportunity, given the gold reserves that we have found, the rare minerals that have also been identified in Kenya, and working together with the Ministry of Mining, we will be able to come up with this area as one area where we can put our technology, our people, and also the financing necessary to create. And Kenya recently joined the prestigious group of countries that are recognized in mining. So I think we now need to move from the artisanal mining category to professional and large-scale mining. And I think this is going to be a game changer, Mr. Speaker. So lastly, Mr. Speaker, there was a question on the status, the Honorable Mariam, on the status of markets as being unknown. It is not unknown. I only said that a specific question on the status of KIPES has already been presented to us from the Senate. And we are waiting for the right date so that we can present it together with all the evidence required, and together we can be able to fill the gaps. But more importantly is that every so often we are learning a lot from these KIPES. For example, Mr. Speaker, in pastoralist counties where livestock is a key value chain, we need to align our KIPES so that they reflect that. In areas where it's largely agricultural or cereal, then again, we can't have one design for all of them. So these are lessons, and I think we cannot claim to be perfect in all this. Then we have certain markets and other government projects that have been built but are not yet complete. Therefore, the Honourable Member was asking what we can do. I think this is where we were talking about working together with the counties, because more often than not, when we decide to build a market, we just look at the structure. we don't look at the sanitation. We don't look at the roads accessing there. We don't look at how far it is from the main road, because markets are also about convenience, and it is for that reason sometimes when you geographically misplace a market, people will leave that grand market and go to trade outside because the geography is not aligned. And those are the issues or lessons that we have learned. And Mr. Speaker, what we have encouraged our county governments and the Ministry of Lands is that we do a feasibility study before any market is placed to reduce chances of misalignment. Mr. Speaker, also there was a question from the Honorable Siongo on specific examples of cooperatives or circles that we have been able to connect across. So we have Gatanga Tea Factory has been visited by major tea buyers, Grammy Tea and Herbal Association from France, and they are producers of the orthodox tea. And Mr. Speaker, one of the things I would want to mention specifically about these orthodox teas is that Kenya is also positioning itself not just to do the traditional teas, but the high-value teas, and also to change the use of tea from merely being a beverage to also being a fine dining item. And to this effect, we will be launching some of these products during the French Africa Summit that will be held in Kenya from next week. And I think some of these issues will be also put across. We also have Vivo Activewear is now expanding apparel to the USA, and this has been facilitated through Keproba. So, and I was specifically answering the question of providing examples. Mr. Speaker, allow me to inform the Honourable Member that in the general area of Machakos, Makwiny, and those regions, the mango pulp that comes from that region has been found to be very good. In fact, it has no comparison within the larger East and Central Africa. And talking with the major manufacturers and processors, we would want to have this region producing the mango pulp for Coca-Cola and others, and therefore our work is to try and see how we can work with the counties, increase productions, have the right varieties, and build linkages that can provide support to our farmers. I submit.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. We'll take the second set of questions. Senator Kinyo.
Thank you, Cabinet Secretary. My observation is this, Cabinet Secretary. I think from where you sit, you have an aerial view of what's happening in the whole country, but then you can map out, because many of our counties, we have become jack of all trades, but master of none. Would you, from where you sit, because you have, you can quickly see, you have data plus monitoring, you say which county is best for what. Like for example, like Kipia, we are best in beef production. Would we then have a situation like that where you classify these counties? Like for example, you go to Cuba. Cuba is known and they know they are not producing anything, but they know their cash crop is exporting doctors. As in our country, you as a Cabinet Secretary, because you have an aerial view, what would you recommend? In your answering, Roman 3, you have indicated you are collaborating with the housing, Department of Housing. Can you confirm, the Cabinet Secretary, that our housing levy fund is the money that is used to construct the markets? Thank you.
Senator Omtata Okoiti.
Yes, Honorable Speaker, thank you. Honorable Secretary, thank you for your presentation. My main concern is these Skypes that have come up in almost every county hardly have any feasibility studies. I've not seen a single feasibility study. I've tried to get one for Busia, the Skype in Busia, in Nasewa, no feasibility study. I've even tried to, there's also an industrial park there. I've tried to get a feasibility study for the industrial park. There's none. I've tried to get a spatial plan. There's none. I would have wanted to see a feasibility study whereby I'm able to gauge the viability of the project before public money is invested in. It's very good to talk about aggregation parks, to talk about this, to talk about all those things I've spoken about. But where there's no scientific study showing me that 1 + 1 equals equals to 3, as Professor says, 1 + 1 equals to 2, I find it difficult to follow your presentation because you have reduced this thing into a very academic exercise. When I go to Busia Kaip, I've been there. What hits me is that what is this thing going to do? How is it? Where is the ecosystem within which this Kaip is going to work? We visited the Kaips in Ethiopia, and they had very clear thematic areas. They were not one size fits all. They were integrating regions in a very, very clear, thematically organized park. When you looked at it, you would see like they're driving industrialization. They have got incentives such as in taxation, they have incentives, even in power provision to these positions. So I don't know, Honorable Senator.
Senator Mutata, please put your question forward.
Yes, I'm coming there.
Avoid debating the issue.
I've laid the background. So I don't know whether we have any feasibility study for any of those Kaips, and what is this, if there are any, what is the scope of those feasibility studies, especially in terms of what incentives do they give to the producers, and what incentives do they give to the investors, and how do they integrate the country as a whole in terms of pushing the industrialization project? Thank you.
Thank you, Senator. Senator Nyutu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. My question to the CS, but before I ask the question, Mr. Speaker allowed me to also build a foundation on it. Mr. Speaker, I have seen very many market buildings coming up in Moraga, but most of them, and I can assure the CS, especially storied ones, are not in use because there is nobody to use them. So I want to join Senator Mutata in saying that if there is any feasibility study that is done, as the CS claims, then I think there is a gap somewhere because these structures just come up even when they are not needed. And Mr. Speaker, we have more need. And I draw the CS's attention to the lower region of Murang'a, where we grow a lot of mangoes, Mr. Speaker. And the county has interventions, but it is not able to mop up all the mangoes that are produced. So exactly what is the ministry doing to see to it that it intervenes and supports the county government in mopping up mango production in Lower Murang'a, Mr. Speaker, the wards of Kakuzimi Tubiri, Idanga ward, Makuyu ward, Kambiti ward, because the past season there were loads and loads of mangoes rotting along the roads. And Mr. Speaker, as he does that, he has mentioned something very important, that they are assisting in providing business advisory services, where they train on standards to, especially the common mwananchi. Do we have a structure? Because I've not seen anybody in Murang'a being trained on this. And Mr. CS, what are you doing to see to it that avocado farmers are assisted? The upper region of Murang'a, Kandara, Gatanga, Kigumo, Maragua, parts of Kiharu. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's my question.
Thank you, Senator Mandako.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, my supplementary questions goes to the CS on the issue of Kaips. And maybe if you allow me, Honorable Speaker, to just say this question would have been comprehensively answered if the CS had honored the invitations and the summons of the Trade Committee. And I also want to inform him that we have fined him 500,000 and he should pay, and consequently also summon him to appear in the next session, Honorable Speaker. And Honorable Speaker, this is because There are statements that have been pending from 2023, 2024, 2025. And the ministry has not responded to, and it touches on these Skypes. And on a general statement, Honorable Speaker, the rates of completion of these Skypes is actually worrying. In Kilifi, for example, when my committee visited, they just found there the contractor slashing the forests. In my own county, Honorable Speaker, first it was procured above the recommended amount of 500 million. It was procured at 535. The one in Wajir was procured at 601 million. 101 million above. So there are a lot of issues my committee, on behalf of the House, would want to process so that we can submit a comprehensive report. So my question to the CS is, you will not be able to comprehensively respond, but maybe you can tell us what is the status for the one for was in issue that had stalled, and yet national government had sent all the money. The contractor was paid. He has not been on site for a very long period of time. What is the ministry doing about it?
Thank you, Senator. Who are you trying to inform, Senator Kinyo?
The Senator.
Mandago, do you want to be informed?
Yes, he's a good neighbor.
Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary have been informed that the committee, he has not been attending the committee. He was summoned, and as we speak, he has been fined. Mr. Speaker, I don't know what's your guidance to the House, whether I think whether we can ask before the Cabinet Secretary leaves, he pays his fine. Otherwise, we look for Al-Sifuna and Karungo Athango and Eddie, who are very good in dealing with those matters. Thank you.
Senator Kinyo, that is a matter that will be handled by the substantive speaker when he comes to the House. Cabinet Secretary, please respond.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to respond on further questions that have come. And I want to start with the Honorable Mutata. Whether we have feasibility studies, and if so, present one for Sebusia and the others. I want to confirm that there may be no elaborate feasibility studies that were done, but I think what is important is this. All of us, when we are doing our campaigns, we go across the whole country. We talk to communities. They tell us what they want. In this particular case, the president, during the run-up to the election, he met hundreds of people, including the Mamamboga and other people. And one of the constant things that they asked was, give us dignity in our work, in markets, in the CAIP. So that is also a public participation and a feasibility study in terms of, does the market, does the community want, is it needed? And therefore, to that extent, when he got into office, again, we could not have spent another 3 years doing feasibility studies. Mr. Speaker, allow me to inform my good friend Omtata.
Senator Bonikalu, ideally we are not supposed to raise point of orders when the CS is responding. Go ahead, Senator Boni.
Mr. Speaker, because Parliament keeps record of everything, Hansard has been told that the minister went around with the president asking the people in the countryside what they wanted.
Let me stop you.
The minister did not campaign with President William Ruto. How was he there? He was campaigning with Raila Odinga.
Let me stop you,
He's misleading the country.
Bonikalwale, maybe we heard differently. But the CS did not in any way mention that he accompanied the president in those visits. He said the president did. So let me just stop you there. You have no point of order. No, there is no need to be informing. CS, please proceed. But that's not what the CS said. What you said is not what the CS said. That's why I should actually find you out of order for raising a frivolous point of order. CS, please proceed.
So, Mr. Speaker, I was just trying to allude to the fact that sometimes nations bury themselves in big terms like feasibility and all those things, and we spend all our lifetime doing feasibility on what we already know. So is there unemployment? Yes. Do we need to create value and dignity to our people? Yes. And the people have spoken. So I think this is what you're trying to do. Just to draw an example, in the year 2002 when President Mwai Kibaki came to office, we implemented the free primary education. It was implemented on day one. We literally opened all the doors. I'm sure the Honorable Kalwale remembers, no feasibility was ever done. Was it a success? Yes. So I think let us also agree there are historical challenges we have had. And again, we may not want to go to the, spend money, take a lot of time is gone, it's time for action. And I think these KIPES, we agree they are not perfect, but we are on a journey to perfecting them. So that admission means that in our second batch, we'll be able to correct where we didn't do, maybe there was an omission. But again, we want to say that we don't want to bury ourselves in too many jargons while our people are suffering by the roadside. And, there's no sanitation, tomatoes by the roadside the whole day, by evening, they all go to waste. So I don't think we need a feasibility to confirm that potatoes or tomatoes will wither by the end of the day. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of incentives, I agree with the Honorable Member, Omtata, that indeed we are working with the counties to attract. Now, that's now how we get to Migori, Uasin Gishu, and all the others. So the county governments have an opportunity to create business forums, to showcase the opportunities that are there, what incentives are there, partner with the bank so that we can now have more value addition. In the western parts of the country, including Busia, Migori, and all the others, our idea was that in the East African market, we can be able to supply those markets using our KIPES in those particular parts of the country. So they were actually export-oriented, like the one in Busia. And just for information, in Busia we have the EPZ and also the KIPE, and they are both at the same place. So again, just trying to emphasize that we believe that the future of Kenya is also conquering regional markets that will be very useful for us. But I appreciate, and even as I say that we shouldn't be too academic, also to acknowledge that Omtata is known to me through his writing as a serious poet, and I salute him. We went through his poems when we were in intervention. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Allow me to go to Mr.
But CS, let me inform. No, sorry, Senator Newton, no intervention. No intervention. Senator, Cabinet Secretary, you have 5 minutes, so please.
Thank you.
Go very quickly over the questions.
The Honorable Kinyua, I think the question of why don't we map out the whole country so that we don't end up doing industries everywhere, agriculture everywhere. I think there are some countries that can do well. Just for your information, certain countries such as China have taken like a whole province and said, this is where we get our potato, not just agriculture, one particular variety. Because it takes a bit of infrastructure, planning, aggregation, the extension officers to make sure that a particular commodity succeeds. So I think this is well in order. However, because the driving of the economic agenda of a county is the responsibility of the governors, this is where we really need to cooperate. So that when we say we want to have like 5 counties as key industrial centers, it doesn't mean the others are not important, but they can also do something else, including tourism and other issues. So I think it's best is to pick maybe 2 or 3 that are most useful and run away with them. Some counties have done very well in logistics. We can support them to become the logistical hub for the entire East and Central Africa. Then with respect to collaborating with the Ministry of Housing, yes, we are working with them. And although we are not the implementing ministry in terms of markets for housing, we work together for information, for citation of where the market will be built, and we continue to deal with emerging issues as and when they come. We consider markets to be an extension of the housing agenda, because when you build a house, those people will require some place to go and buy their vegetables. They will require some place to go and work. And if you just put people in houses without providing the necessary social infrastructure, you're actually creating ghettos, and these will be centers of crime. So it is necessary to provide associated services such as market, social centers, nursery schools for the kids, and a bit of a dispensary. That is what we call an integrated living, including a basketball or place where they can play some sports. Otherwise, we will have high crime that we cannot be able to control, and this is part of that program. The Honorable Nyoto did mention about markets in Muranga, and some of them that may be empty. I think what I would really want to encourage all of us is that when you are making economic decisions, it may be necessary to remove a bit of the politics. And this is what I have in mind. So you find that a market is to be built in a particular place, but the citation of that market sometimes ends up not necessarily being an economic decision. It's more, leaders want it in this location, or this is where I come from. But the point is, a market is defined as where the buyers, the sellers, and the commodities are. So if you take the physical building outside those three parameters, then that will be a white elephant. So we need to work with what is already in existence. And that is why you find, like on your way to Nakuru, there's a place called Sokomjinga. There was no physical market, but there are buyers, there were sellers, and there was a commodity. So what the government is doing is just placing now the infrastructure so that they can get inside there. So we need to align to what the public want in citation of that. Mangoes from the lower parts of Muranga, I want to confirm indeed that's true. And as I said with respect to Kambani, we would want to make Kenya a major producer of mango pulp. And this is really where the governors can also help us, so that we create enough mango plantations and we have the right climatic weathers there. And most significantly is the fact that we already have markets for mango pulp, and I don't think Kenya can satisfy the global demand for mango pulp for the next even 20 years. So it's time for leaders to come together, get the right varieties, get the right infrastructure, and we also have a company that is coming to set up here in Kenya that will be buying much of the fruits for sale into the European market, one of the biggest market connections to some of our retail outlets there. Lastly, from the Honorable Nyoto is on training of farmers. We do it sometimes on request specifically by a cooperative or by the governor or a SACCO or that kind of engagement, because each region has its own needs. So we cannot say that we want to go and teach honey processing to a community that doesn't do that. So it has to be tailor-made to meet the needs of the members. Mr. Speaker, the last one is from the Honorable Mandago, and I hear that I have been fined 500,000. I will be launching a fundraising for this money because I don't have it. But the important part is that we were in Dar es Salaam with the president to open markets, including for the pulp, the avocado, and as you know, Mr. Speaker, our traders.
Senator Eddie, there are no interventions. What clarification are you seeking?
Mr. Speaker, the minister will be leaving soon, and I know the House might be rising soon. And he has talked about a scientific issue that he tried to navigate very skillfully from Senator Okiya Mtata. Does that same navigation, Mr. Speaker, applies to the decision that the ministry made recently on fuel? Because the ministry made a decision to lower to actually increase our sulfur levels in our fuel from 10 milligram per...
Senator let the CS conclude. We are actually out of time.
Mr. Speaker, this is a matter of national concern. I just
it is, but you've raised it a bit late. You've raised it a bit late. We're already out of time, Eddie.
Could you just give us, if you don't mind, Mr. Speaker?
He does not have time even to respond.
Impact assessment, maybe not now, but commit to you that whether they has done an impact assessment on the damages this might have in the economy in terms of pollution and damages in our vehicles, so that we just know as a country that these
very well, Senator. Very well,
have
Senator.
impact
We've
in the
understood
country.
you, Cabinet Secretary. Maybe you can just make a commitment that you will respond in writing.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So I was just responding to the Honorable Mandago, and that our inability to attend yesterday's session is because we were part of the presidential delegation, and we had already written a letter to that effect. And Mr. Speaker, Tanzania is a key trading partner with Kenya, and as you know, we have had many trading issues with Kenyans having challenges there. So it was not possible for us not to attend, and a letter to that effect had already been sent. Lastly, on the Uasin Gishu stalled Cape, I want to assure the honourable member that a substantive question has already been asked, and I will be able to present it as early as next week, as soon as you give me the right timing. And we will come both.
Cabinet Secretary, I give you 1 minute to conclude because we have to rise. Okay. 1 minute to conclude.
Thank you. We'll be able to provide both the evidence, pictorial and otherwise, and also to confirm that working with the EACC, we'll also be doing an audit for all the CAIPs to ensure that there's good use of public resources. With respect to the last question asked by the honourable member, I wish to say that the fuel that you're talking of, standard, was the fuel you are consuming for the last 10 years until August last year. I don't know how many vehicles went bad. So we had just raised the standards for our sulfur from 50, we lowered to 10 August last year. So we have been consuming the level we have now reverted to ever since until August last year. So there's nothing new we have brought. It's just that the sourcing of petroleum products across the world is a major challenge. And also worth noting is that refineries across the Middle East have been thoroughly damaged. So this is not a problem that is going to be there just now, but in the foreseeable maybe 1-2 years, where our sourcing options have been thoroughly compromised. And between having a perfect quality and availability, we chose to have availability. But I want to assure you that most of the countries within the sub-Saharan Africa are using the level we are talking about, and we have not had any reported challenges. We just wanted to be a front runner in the area of environmental protection. I submit.
Thank you very much, Cabinet Secretary. Honorable Senators, it is now 1:03 p.m. and having concluded the business for which I extended the hours of sitting, pursuant to Standing Order 34-2A, the Senate stands adjourned until later today, Wednesday, 6th May 2026 at 2:30 p.m.